friends. Welcome back. June 3rd, 2024, Virtual Strangers are on the air. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, are my good friends, Ruuts and Eric. Ruuts, happy Monday, sir.
Happy Monday. I was like, oh, God, my mic's not working. Happy Monday. Happy Coca-Cola Monday. No, it's a good day. So
Coca-Cola Monday, what is that?
I don't know. It's just me drinking a Mexican Coke. M for Monday, Mexican Coke. Isn't it sad? It's a
That's
sad.
Racist.
It's racist.
Yeah.
It's a sad day that to get a real sugar. Well, I guess we have our own, but a real soda, a real Coke with real sugar. I got to go to Mexico. Well, not.
Does it have real Coke in it though, or like real?
Well, I wish it was.
Yeah, it's Mexican
I would be a
Coke.
lot more awake. Yeah, Mexican Coke. I'd be a lot more awake for sure. But no, you can't. Most soda in this country has high fructose corn syrup, and it sucks. I hate it.
Well, I say, how dare you drink that?
This man legitimately
Undocumented-
thinks that he is better than us.
How dare you drink that undocumented illegal Mexican Coke?
I can't help it. It tastes so good. I
The
like
Colombian
real
Coke
sugar.
is even better.
That's what I've heard. I heard that'll keep you up for days.
Yeah.
Now that's a different type of Coke, though.
So how's your Monday been going, Eric? Pretty busy as usual, I imagine.
Oh, dude, crazy. Like, I can't how does Mondays turn into like a shit show all of a sudden? You know what I mean?
blame
Mondays are
Darren.
normally a shit show already, but man, you know what's going on. Like, we have so much stuff going on at work. It's just like insane, man. And I'm leaving for Sweden tomorrow, so I'm like trying to jam everything in. Sweden? So yeah, I'm gonna go hang out in Sweden for a few days and
How cool.
go meet some cool developer studios out there, some flat gaming studios and some VR studios, and hang with some of the guys from Combat Waffle.
How long of a flight is that?
I will be traveling tomorrow, so I got to fly into London first. It takes me 8 hours and 30 minutes direct flight from here to London, and then I have a little layover, and then I jump from London directly to Stockholm.
And how long is that? It's just like a couple
About
hours.
2 hours, 2.5 hour flight.
I
from
see.
London to Stockholm.
And I shake my head because not saying that it's not. I think it's awesome. You're going. I think it's phenomenal. I can't do it. I couldn't do a 10-hour flight or 10 hours of flying. I guess I could if I had to. But here's the problem, Mash. This is how my mind works. I got to do it again. That's
You do it
fucking
coming
one
home?
way. Yeah, I'm already thinking about the return trip, and I haven't even left. You know what I mean? That's a lot of flying. It's something I love to fly, or I used to. Like, I love the feeling of it. I love the takeoff and landing. I actually really enjoy it. I just feel like it's such an unenjoyable experience. And then being on a flight for 8 hours, I've never been on a flight that long. That is something that I think everybody should have to endure, kind of like, torture. What's that one where you're
It's like
waterboarding, right? Everybody should have a little bit of that just to kind of ground yourself.
I'm gonna put my headset on, man. That's what I've been doing. Like, that's what I did on my
True.
flight to California. I got into my Apple Vision Pro. I have the little Magic Keyboard and the Magic Mouse, Magic Pad, and I can pretty much. And if I get the Wi-Fi, I can pretty much do whatever I want. I can work pretty damn well, man. And you got to get the extra leg room if you're going 8.5 hours.
That's a good point.
Yes.
That is a really good
I'm
point.
6'4", so I need the extra leg room.
Well, and that's the beauty of VR or Apple Vision Pro, right? Like, you can literally close out that shitty environment, and you're like, and you forget. So yeah, if I had an Apple Vision Pro or something, I could see you doing it, no problem.
Maybe you could wear your Quest and do some kind of space flight game or something, so you'll be super immersed as you hit turbulence and shit.
Yeah, for real.
That'd be cool. Well, with the Quest now, I can do it. It has the movement thing in it, right? So it has the thing where if you're moving, it still will track, because that's the whole problem before. Like, the Apple Vision Pro always came like that. Like, you could be in a car, you could be in an airplane, and it would still track with movement. The Quest wasn't like that. Like, it was just recently after the Apple Vision Pro launch that Meta came out and said, "We better fix
Travel
this quick." Yeah, travel now. You can travel mode. So smart move, man. Because I'm telling you, it's gonna be literally, this is gonna be the way when this becomes affordable. This will be the way that people commute and travel, and they do things in their headset. Like, I really do feel that at some point here, the way of the cell phone is going to go away. Like, I can just put, when these things are, when we get the second generation, third generation, fourth generation of these, where I can make it to be like a, like a visor and not feel like a big headset. And then you can answer your phone inside of here, and you can do everything you do. There will be no cell phones anymore. It'll just be a set of glasses.
We're going to save people's necks. But here's the problem. We can't keep people to stop looking down at their phone, and now their phone is going to be on their face. I really do believe that it's double-edged, just like everything. Because the same thing that I already feel about phones and people being distracted and disconnected, I think is going to be amplified by 100 times, because it's multitasking, and you'll never know. Does somebody have leave it to Beaver off in the fucking side while they're talking to me? Like, pay attention. Don't pay attention to Wally.
Don't pay attention to the Beaver.
You know who loves to pay attention to the Beaver? My mom. Yeah, she does.
You were a little hard on the Beaver last night.
But you know what I mean? Like, I love the fact, I love this technology. I'm excited for it, but I also see a lot of negative things in technology in general, and we don't know how this is going to. We always see the positives, and then 10 years later, we're like, oh fuck, like what do we do? You know. So.
Wes, you got to be ready to fly again after you had such a smooth experience. You were like, get me on another plane. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I think I'm just gonna chill here for a little while. I thought about doing AWE, but man, I'm still fucking feeling the effects from my airport stay last week. So I came home sick, as you guys know, and then shortly after I got home, my family started getting sick, and they've been passing it amongst themselves. And we just took Isabel to the doctor, and she's got fucking strep infection in her throat. So yeah, airports are awesome. They rule.
Yeah, just like hospitals.
Yeah.
We'll get sick at those places.
Stay out of both.
Yes.
Anyway, lots of people in the chat. People excited, mostly excited. Of course, we do have a few naysayers, but mostly excitement for Sony's announcement today that just in a little less than 2 months' time, or a little over 2 months' time, we're going to have our PlayStation PCVR converter, which is, I've seen people calling it a breakout box. It's not actually a breakout box. It's a little tiny cable thing that you'll plug your headset into, and it'll split that out into a power cable, a USB cable, and a display port.
It looks like a breakout box.
It does look like a breakout box, but it's very similar to every other headset that's a wired PCVR headset. Like,
I'll show you exactly
what. Yeah, this is exactly what the Pimax one looks like. This is exactly what the DPVR looks like. It looks exactly like the Vario Aero.
Well, that's because it's the same thing. It's a breakout box. They're all breakout boxes. You can call them whatever you want. It's an interface. It's an interface. Like, I don't know. People get so weirded out about the weirdest things. It's like, fuck, man. How did you want to hook it up? Like,
you're never going to know it's there. You're never going to know it's there.
I saw people today in this article here in the comments saying, "Oh, it costs money." Well, what? Do you think they're just going to make it and give it to you for free? Like, I'm so sorry,
it's $60. It's cheaper than I thought it was.
I thought it'd be $100.
Like $100. Yeah,
yeah, $60 is not unreasonable.
I thought it was a good deal. I think it's a great deal.
If you have a PlayStation VR 2 and you get a PC, now you don't have to get a headset. You spend $60. It's a good deal.
Right. And it's not going to, like, so many people speculated, probably the majority of people when they announced this, speculated that this was going to be just running Steam Link through your PlayStation, doing the same type of video streaming like you do with Meta Quest. And that is not the case. This is going to be a legit DisplayPort connection to your headset, which is cool. And by the way, this is the cable for my HP Reverb G2. And I don't know if it's coming through there, but there's exactly the same thing on it. And it's just part of the cable. It's nothing. You'll never even see it or think about it. Now, with that said, a lot of our hopes for feature support for the headset on PC have been
dashed.
Have been
for now.
Dashed, yeah, for now, right? As basically, there's not going to be any headset rumble. There's not going to be any adaptive triggers. It's going to work just like a regular PCVR headset. And basically, what that means is is that your PlayStation VR 2, if you decide to buy this $60 interface, is going to be an HP Reverb G2 with an OLED panel.
And well, no, but it's not going to have HDR. It said so that there's going to be no OLED, right? If no HDR.
No, the OLED panel is still there. That is a physical thing in the headset. It's still going to have.
Well, it'll still have it, but if it doesn't support HDR, it won't be as bright.
It'll be less.
It'll be less. Yeah. But this is the thing. It's going to be better than the Reverb, because it's going to have really, well, way better tracking, and the controllers are way better. So, like, in that respect, if you put them side by side, I'd say that I would much rather have the PSVR 2, hands down. But although I'm looking at all the features, you know, and I was saying this in the Discord for myself personally, from coming from a Quest Pro, there's no way I use this thing. It's the only thing it has that I would want is DisplayPort. You know, like, it doesn't have pancake lenses. It's not as comfortable as my headset. The controllers aren't tracked. Doesn't have backlit. You know, now my OLED will be better than this headset on PC.
I wouldn't go that. I wouldn't go that far.
I would, because I've used it all the time, and I use the PSVR 2, and I think it's very comparable to it. And if the PSVR 2 is going to be muted on the PC, then I would go that far. But I haven't tried it, so.
It's not going to be muted on the PC. They have to be careful, because there's a specific. See, the HDR is a categorization of a certain screen effect, and in order to claim HDR, you have to be able to hit certain like peak brightness, and since they're not controlling the Steam platform, they can't make like a marketing claim like that and claim that it's going to be HDR. The screen that's in it is still the same screen.
They just won't be able to be as bright.
They're not muting it because of Steam VR or anything like that. They just can't guarantee that, like, if you play the same game that supports HDR on PlayStation, that the Steam version is going to be able to do the same thing. Now, if there's a software on Steam that's, you know, optimized for that and is super bright, I don't think that they're saying that you're going to lose brightness in the breakout box or anything like that. I don't think that that's what they mean at all. It's just they have to be careful about, you know, what they're claiming as HDR, because they barely achieved what is the definition of HDR on PlayStation, and any kind of like deviation from that whatsoever, and that statement all of a sudden isn't true anymore.
Right. So if they barely did it on the PlayStation, then it probably will be close to not being done on the PC.
Right.
But we'll see. I'm not saying it'll look like shit. I'm just saying it won't be. I believe just using my Quest Pro, and Mash, you know as well, huh? Well, I don't know if you have your backlit on. The colors look really good.
Oh, that's great.
It's, you know, it's very comparable to OLED. It's not OLED, but it's Quest's version of tricking HDR.
Yeah, and with the local dimming too, it absolutely helps it. There's local dimming on that headset that you can't get on most other headsets, and that absolutely helps color. The Quest Pro is a great freaking headset. You know, and it is definitely comparable. And to me, one thing, now I'll just say this: I'm super excited for this, by the way, for PlayStation and the PC. But to go to Ruuts' point, that Quest Pro is a fuck ton more comfortable than the PlayStation VR 2, also, because that facial interface still bothers me. Like that, every other part of it I don't mind. It's just the facial interface I hate so bad. So yeah, I mean, I could see where Ruuts was like, I just don't need it. Like, you know.
Yeah, for me,
well, I'm not trying to convince him. I'm just saying.
Well, I wasn't trying to convince you either. I was just saying, for me, there's just no reason to use it. Like, as soon as I read this article, I said, well, this is out. I'm not getting the box. There's no reason for it. But it is exciting for other people, you know? So.
Yeah, well, you know, for me, the jury's still out. We don't know. See, for me, the big question with it is what's the compatibility going to be like? Are all the games going to just run perfectly with no like controller binding issues or any of the stuff that I sometimes get on my G2? If that's the case, then it's worth it for me with the $60 all day long to get something that's going to be more reliable than my G2. But if I were only playing on a Quest headset with all of the issues that come with Link and all the other bullshit that comes with playing on Meta, it'd be worth the $60 just for a shot, uh, to see if it's going to work any better than that. Um, I'm going to pick it up just to check it out and see how well it does. But for me, like I said, the jury's very much out until I can get this thing in my hands and test it. You know what my biggest beef with is in the whole thing, and something nobody's called out one time. You got to buy your own fucking DisplayPort cable.
I know, I just
what
see that. Yeah.
bullshit is that? Like, why don't they just have the cable be part of the adapter? Why do I have to go out and spend
make it
another
$65
$15?
put the cable in there?
Exactly.
Right.
Come on, Sony. What are you nickel and diming me for?
Did you see in our internal chat today though? I was talking with Rocky Pardo a little bit and Elliot, and Rye thinks that there is a possibility that they could get the eye tracking working here, and he said if that's the case, the foveated rendering, is easily moddable if they get the eye tracking working with games. So you could actually take advantage of the eye tracking and the foveated rendering. So I mean, without him jumping into it, he's already thinking that it's possible that they could get it working.
Yeah, I didn't see your conversation, but that it is 100% going to be doable. This is Tobii eye tracking. It's nothing like foreign to the scene. People have been using and working with this eye tracking for years now, and I have no doubt that that probably within a week or two, somebody's going to have this thing unlocked and accessible on the back end. Now, how long will it take for it to become practical and usable for the consumer? I don't know, but I have no doubt that out of all of these features, the eye tracking is probably going to be the easiest one to pop. The thing is, with any of these features, even if they were officially supported by Steam, it would still require, for the most part, for developers to support them and modify their games to support them. So that was my whole thing with it, is like, even if we had that stuff, it's very unlikely. I mean, we might see it in a game like Half-Life Alyx or from some other big studios, but unless we just see this gigantic influx of PSVR headsets in the Steam, I don't think most of these indie devs would have even went through and modified their games to support these extra features anyway. Could be wrong.
I like to have it open, and then that way they can be used. Hopefully, I think it's good that if they can get that working. My hope is, was that if it became standard for the eye tracking to be out there for developers, then games start getting made around that, right? Instead of it being this niche thing that's isolated here and isolated there, and it's not this standard for everybody. It's just just extending everything. That's making things take longer.
That's true. That's where we would probably miss it at, is in future multi-platform titles that are supported both on PSVR 2 and Steam. And if these features were enabled on the Steam side as well, then we would more than likely see games like Metro or Behemoth or the Aliens game. Those games would more than likely support like the dynamic foveated rendering and the headset haptics and all of this stuff on PC if it were on the menu for them. So it is unfortunate in that case.
And I did say for now, because my thinking is this could easily change overnight in a software patch if they decided to, a year, 2 years down the road. Like, this is just like an intern, like moving as they're moving everybody in between. When it matters, they want it to be there to be a difference between the platforms, right? They still want the PSVR 2 people to feel like they've got something that the PC people don't have. So I get it. My point was, is just that for me, it was like, I was like, this is, but I have the ability to look at something and say, oh, that kind of sucks for me, but this is super cool for everybody else. And then it's still cool. It's just not cool for me, but it's not all about me, right? Like, I don't need another headset. I'm happy with this one outside of the issues that you said we're talking about. But my problem is my biggest problem is exactly what Mash said. Like, it really is just not a comfortable headset to me. Like, I dread using it. And I don't want to say dread, but I just don't look forward to it. This thing I throw on real quick. It's easy. I pop it on. It feels comfortable. It's a really, it's got it. The form factor is really good. And then the PSVR 2 is just not good. And so I don't want to spend too much time in there. So.
Yeah. Everybody has different heads, right? Like,
True.
For me, I find the PlayStation VR 2 more comfortable than the Meta headsets. I find the Reverb G2 more comfortable than the PlayStation VR 2. But again, everyone's head's shaped differently, and what everybody is sensitive to is going to be different. I don't know. I don't know if I'll end up using this thing on any kind of regular basis or not. I have to see how well it runs first. But the good news is I've already got the headset. It's a $60 box, which is not much money. So I'll gamble with the $60 just to try it out and see what it does, and then be able to report to people and tell them, people who it does matter to, whether or not they should be investing in this headset for PCVR.
You should get the adaptive triggers working too. Like, I don't understand. Like, as long as it's a Sony game, like,
well, it has to be.
Yeah.
As long as it's a Sony game, it'll probably could work. So
yeah, I would be surprised if we didn't see support for that type, and even the advanced haptics at some point, because the DualSense controller on Steam has all of these features. They all work,
but you have to have it plugged in, and
that is true. I always wondered why, though. Like, if you had a fast enough, like, had a modern Bluetooth connection, which I guess a lot of computers have older Bluetooth in them. That's true. But it seems like for like the modern, like Bluetooth 5.1, like I think it's 5.1, that it would support these features, but maybe they don't want to confuse people with having to know their Bluetooth version and all of this stuff. And if it won't support it on all of them, then they're just not going to enable it for any of them. I don't know why you have to have it plugged in. I've always thought that's weird.
Looper says there's no Sony games on PC though, and I would add yet to that one as well. You don't think all of this?
They're coming. We know they're coming.
There's no way that Sony sent their headset over to Steam and they're not taking their games with them. There's no way. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be funny if Astrobot was a PCVR exclusive?
That'd be awesome. I mean, you got to be super happy for the PlayStation crowd. Like, I mean, I think this is
so funny.
This is huge news for them. Like,
it really is.
Most of those PlayStation VR 2 crowd, they don't own any other headset. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them that don't anyway. And they want a good PC VR headset. This is going to be their first foray into. I mean, think about the library that automatically they get if they already have that headset in place, and maybe they have a PC, maybe they don't, but maybe they decide to go get a PC now. But the library that's afforded to them now with that headset, that's huge. I mean, their library, that headset that they're now like going, man, I don't know, I only got like how many games. Now that their library quadruples with some of the best games out there, by the way.
And mods.
I mean, yeah.
And mods.
See, yeah, exactly.
See, there are a lot of PlayStation VR gamers right now that are saving for their PC because they want AAA VR, and they see what we're doing with the Unreal Engine mod. They saw what we did on Friday or Saturday Night Show with that mod. And they want those games too, so they're saving up. Now they don't have to buy a headset; they can save $600 or more.
Put it towards your computer.
Good exactly, point. And put that into their computer now. And again, while it is going to have basic PCVR features, I mean, as good as screen. It's an OLED screen. As good as my regular LCD panel looked on Sackboy the other night, and it was fucking beautiful. I'm excited now because I'm going to get to go back in that beautiful, colorful world with an OLED and see if the colors pop even more now.
You're gonna get to play Sackboy on a PSVR 2 headset in VR. And a mod on a PC.
Go play a game I played last night, man. I jumped into the headset and played Evil West. This game
Evil
phenomenal.
West.
Somebody said my name. What?
Evil West. Evil West is awesome, man. I had never played it before, and I tried it flat for a little bit, and then I popped the headset on. Ruuts, this game is awesome.
Is that the one that we were about planning on doing weeks ago? Or is that
There's
no?
two
That's
of them out
Weird
there
West.
that are one
No,
is
there's-
Weird West,
and
which
then
is
there's
like a
Evil West,
top-down,
and then there's Blood West,
yeah.
right?
Evil West is like it's like third person view, almost like kind of like Returnal, where you have a dodge and a roll, and then you have melee and you have gunfighting, and it's the atmosphere is cool. I played about an hour and a half in so far, but freak, man, it's one of the best games. Like, you guys need to go play this game. It's that good. It's so freaking good. And just the vibe of it, it's like Western punk meets like undead vampires. It's just freaky, man. I love it.
It seems like there's a lot of these hybrid Western games over the last few years. Is it just me, or does it seem like this is a genre that the game studios like to play with lately?
No, there's Evil West, Weird West. I think there's even Blood West.
There's Blood West, which I tried to do. That is a little bit of a jank fest. Blood West.
Man.
That's a first-person shooter, though. That's like...
Have you tried Weird West? We still need to do that one. That's really cool.
I have it in my library, and I haven't tried it.
That's good.
I've got it installed. I installed it when we were going to cover it recently, and then we pivoted away from it. But it's ready to go. That and GTA are both ready to go whenever we want to do them. So,
yep. But I would tell you guys, though, go try this. Go to Unreal Engine, go to the OVRDARK, and just play it for 20 minutes, Evil West, and you will keep playing it. I guarantee it.
Is it a roguelite?
No. There is progression in it, but it's not a roguelite. It's a full-blown campaign game, man.
Awesome. You know what I'm going to go play in my PSVR 2 headset on PC? I'm going to go play... I'm going to go play the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, because Luke Ross just put out a mod for that. Another PlayStation VR exclusive, or PlayStation exclusive, now playable in VR thanks to the magic of PC modding.
Love it.
Beautiful cinematic game. I can only imagine what it's going to look like in VR. Have you guys watched any content or heard anything about it yet?
I heard that it was he did it, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't watched anything on it.
I haven't watched it.
PD will have a video on it tomorrow, probably.
But he still never went into WoW, at least as far as I know, which blows me away because he still plays WoW till this day. I don't get it.
That's a bit of an install process, though. It's above his pay grade.
I told him in that one episode, I said, dude, we'll help you walk you through. You need to get in there with me, PD. You need to be in there with us. So
yeah,
I guess Pato El Gato del Juego didn't know that Ghost of Tsushima had been modded. Yeah, this is the newest one. I guess just yesterday they announced it.
Yeah, I was
under the radar.
I was talking to Mash about it because I told him I have it on PS5 and I'm obviously we're gonna go into it and play it and stuff. I didn't like it, like the gameplay. I didn't like when I bought it the director's edition, and I didn't like the gameplay. But I guess again, it's stealthy melee. It's just like everything else. It'll be really cool in VR, but it's just a testament to what I just know I don't like that type of game. And I've tried so many different types of amazing ones that people rave about, and hopefully VR will change that. So,
Oldar says he's been playing the Uncharted 4.
Oh, it's so good.
Mod. Yeah, epic. He says, and I would agree with that.
I wish I could play it all over again. MASH hasn't even gone in there yet.
I have a whole I have a whole bunch of stuff I can do now.
Well,
I got my 4090.
Well, here's the problem too. You have, and granted, the titles Uncharted 4, Ghost of Tsushima, like legit titles that you aren't in an engine. They're in specific engines. They're not in one engine, but it's still a lot more work than just taking one mod and going through a whole library of shit and just clicking a button. And that's where the OVRDARK is so much easier. I wish Luke Ross had a way to make it to where you could just click a button, right? With his mod, it would be nice.
Yeah, well, it's not that difficult. A little copy paste action going on with that one. It's pretty easy. It's not like doing the WoW mod or anything like that.
I was
And as
telling
Looper
I was
points
telling
out,
Wes
okay.
after last episode, if it wasn't Wes who did all that work and Ruuts who did all that work for the WoW mod, I would not have been in there.
Nope.
You guys did all the work. I just did exactly what you told me to do
Mr. West.
because I just don't think I would have done it.
Dude, I've never seen somebody like it was. I could tell this is how Wes would do it at work if he was walking a client through something. He had everything like fine tuned, perfect. No way. There was like it was idiot proof. You couldn't fuck it up. It's like here, this is it. No, I've already downloaded it for you. Here it is. It was cool. I liked it.
Yep. Well, lots of people out there doing stuff like that. It just depends on who you follow. Genghis, for example, has the Fallout mods all situated for people who want to really customize Fallout 4 VR. How cool was it that the Sony the Sony announcement today included Fallout 4 VR in the announcement?
Yeah,
that was
cool.
pretty awesome. Anyway, Looper points out that there are other games too. Horizon Zero Dawn's playable in VR. Spider-Man's playable in VR. And with the UEVR, you can play Returnal. So tons of PS5 games playable in VR on PC. And this was my point of the last episode, man. You know, in my frustration about Astrobot, and when I'm thinking about, am I going to spend another $500 or $600 to buy a PS5 Pro? Just to get a little bit better performance, most likely, on games that already run great on my PS5. I can think of a better use for that money and to kind of upgrade my VR lifestyle because not all of these mods do run perfectly smooth for me right now. And I think that if I have to pick a place to put my money, that's probably where I'm going to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because the PS5 Pro, even though it would make it, it wouldn't be as big a difference as getting a really high-end video card will be. And I was going to say to Mash, I haven't been into the Spider-Man since I went into with a 3080 Ti, and it was like I was able to play it, but it was kind of rough. Now I'm like, fuck, man, I need to go in there. We should go in there and check it out with two 48 or 3080 Ti's and see what if it performs better.
Yeah,
so I forgot about Spider-Man.
Yeah, that game was fun in Reshade. Like we did it before Luke Ross even modded it, and it was fun.
Well, and that was the thing. We were going to go back and check it out, right? And we never did. We were going to check it out, see if there was much of a difference between the two, right? So
right. Anyways, the Bad Bantha says, kind of sucks for me. Don't have money for a PC, hoping something's cooking up Sony's cooking up some hybrids or something. Hey man, look, I didn't have money for a PC either when I decided that I needed one. But you know what? Time moves quickly. And you put back a little money here and a little money there, and before you know it, you've got a lot of money saved up.
Or start doing what you're doing. Start liquidating things that you have sitting around that you don't use anymore. There's there's a lot of people that need stuff that would pay, and you can all of a sudden you've got your money. So,
you know what people buy up almost every time? Crack. Sell crack.
yeah, right.
Anyways, don't sell crack, and don't take my words literally. I'm not qualified to give legal and or medical advice on this channel or financial advice. My words are for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
With that said, let's say hello to our friends in chat. Ezek is here, as is Peto El Gato del Juego. Shades of Grey Matter is here. Hawk 107, not sure Brondo. Inferno 9, Old Darth. The Bad Bantha is here. Silver Nexus, Cubo 92 here as well. Looper the Underground Game Cat, Techno Glitch 12, the Backlog Game Cat, Hussein X, VR SpryGuy, Looper, we already said hello to. Hello again, Looper. Substatica is here. Says he wants to jump in the Ghost of Tsushima. He's just been too busy. I feel that. Mepper's here. Hello, Mepper. How Not to Play is here. Radboy's here. Game Cat Behemoth says, I wonder if I need to buy an expensive PC to enjoy PC PSVR 2. They're claiming, and I would not believe this at all, but they're claiming a 1660 and above will run it. No, you
No.
don't want to run this on a 1660.
Maybe. What game are they talking about? Like, I guess there's some games you might be able to.
You could probably run To the Top or something, you know, something old and basic. But if you want to play anything like legit, you need to have a 2 series car or later, I would say, unless you can find a 1080 Ti. 1080 Ti still runs a lot of good VR games.
The more VRAM, the better. To future proof yourself. But I mean, obviously, if you have to get what you can get. One thing I would recommend, and I know a lot of people always say they always recommend AMD, and this is why I would not recommend AMD, at least if you want to mess with mods. Like the WoW VR mod, there's certain things that they can't do. They have to do workarounds because of the AMD, the way the video cards are made. And the modders have just said it's nothing they can do. It's just the way that it's laid out, and they've figured out they've had to do workarounds to make things work. And NVIDIA's stuff just works. And so like now if you're talking on the processor side, I'm starting to sway the other direction. I'm not saying I'm going to go AMD, but I'd say, yeah, that's a good choice. But you know, like you might be better off going with NVIDIA if you can find a way to do it, you know? So,
yeah, that is the case. You know, if you weren't gaming and you were building a workstation PC or something, the AMD products are actually very well optimized for that sort of thing. But most modern games, even to this day, are still kind of built around NVIDIA architecture and even, you know, Intel. But there isn't as big of a difference between Intel chips and AMD chips, so we're starting to see a bit of parity on the processing side. But NVIDIA on PC is still the platform that most developers develop around. With that said, all of the consoles are AMD, so it's
right.
not like they're incapable of doing a strong processor. It's just different on PC.
Yeah.
Who else is here? VRMC is here. Mad Vegan here as well. Xbox Game Pass only. Bitch is here. Rogue TR, Left Control Gaming, Matt and Kuda, Ghost Shot is here. Silver Nexus. Who else? Chinatown D. What's up, D? What's up, Tatum? Tatum's here. Okay, seeing a lot of the same names now. Hawk 107's here. Duggars K is here. Philozix is here. Chatty's here. Radio Runt. Q Creator. What's up, Q Creator? Thank you for joining us. And I don't know if you were around last time when we spoke about you for like 5 or 10 minutes, but thank you for the awesome new microphone. Everyone let me know if my microphone sounds any better this week. Certainly, I hope it's at the very least not breaking up anymore like it has been over the last 3 episodes. Hopefully it's at least solid now and everyone can hear me. Paradise Decay was here. Good night, PD. Salvador, Mickey Barrios here as well. Hooked Worm, the Hoosier Game Cat, Brandon VR here with us tonight as well. True Prophecy 22 here as well. Space Denison in the house. Dracula AD 1972, the Vegan Vampire Game Cat is here. Mr. Tasselhoff's here. What's up, Taz? Robbie Y is here. Four Wheeling. I already said hi to Four Wheeling, didn't I? Hello again, Four Wheeling.
Philozix wants to know what's Eric staring at. Eric, what are you staring at?
I'm sorry, I was looking at some of the things in the UEVR that I might want to try and get into. So I've been trying to look at exactly all these games that are in UEVR now.
Well, yeah,
like
now
so
that it's different when when you can just go in there and like. Let me ask you this, Eric: when you turn on a game, do you like go in there conservatively, or do you just have everything cranked up and then scale back?
Everything is up.
Yeah,
Like this Evil West game looks awesome, man. Like the graphics are beautiful in this game, and everything was hooked. Was like it automatically put everything on Epic, and then I started like just tweaking from there and just trying to go as high as I could with everything, turning DLSS way up, putting shaders on the highest level. I don't know. I'm just looking for anything that I can push this system with as much as I can.
I get pissed. I get offended. I like looking there. Medium. What the fuck is this?
How dare you?
Ultra. How dare you?
How dare you?
Like, no, I'm not doing this.
It just depends on the game, man. Some of these games you can't tell the difference between
true.
medium and ultra, and then there are other ones when you go down to high, it makes like a big difference.
It is true.
Yeah, so it's different from game to game, honestly. Like Half-Life Alyx is one of those games. Like you can run Half-Life Alyx on like low and medium, and it still looks fucking amazing. But then there's other games that are just completely the opposite.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mr. Lord Beavis slipping in at the end, as is Sanador the Game Tiger, Thomas McNostril. Hello,
Evil
everyone.
West.
Thanks for joining.
He says Evil West.
Yeah, that's right. We did Evil West in a video once upon a time,
That's right.
a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Saint
Yeah,
Ruuts
right.
and Evil West.
That's right. Saint Ruuts and Evil West. We played Saints and Sinners when it came out and showed how differently you can play. Anyways, thanks everyone for showing up and waiting for us. We went a little bit late for various reasons today. But glad to be here. Glad to finally get in and play everyone's favorite game of the month. And with that in mind, let's get to it and let's talk about the month that PCVR had. Probably a little bit above average month for native releases on PCVR. We never get too many native releases on PCVR anymore. So to have a few notable ones this month is a bit of a change of pace. And to kick it off, of course, as you can see on the screen here, we had Stride Fates, which was a game that launched, I think, late last year, maybe, or early this year on the Quest platform to some pretty positive reviews, coming last month finally to not only Steam, but PlayStation VR 2 as well. And Eric, a lot of hopes for Stride Fates coming onto these new platforms because, again, it was already heralded as a good game, a very good game on Quest. And when Joyway told us that we're getting upgraded graphics and an optimized game, we believed them. Not so much the case when we got in and checked out the upgraded version of this game. Somehow the game was blurrier. There was aliasing everywhere, and that's just to start off with the graphical issues with the game. With that said, I think that the core gameplay is mostly here, save a bit of jankiness with the interactions, but I'm sure we'll get to that too.
Yeah, I mean, this game is great. I mean, if we take that all aside and just say, what is the game? Is it what we wanted after, from the beginning when Stride first came out? It absolutely is. It's great. Everything is here that is in the other versions. It's just it doesn't perform as well and it's not as good. And I don't know what the issue with that is. They had time to work on this. It's not like they tried to ship it simultaneously. So I don't know. I can't tell you the reason why it's like this. And Joyway is usually pretty good about doing these things and making sure they're right. So I'm a little bit surprised here that it's not better than it is. But I mean, I do have faith that they'll hopefully fix it. Because it's a shame because it is a freaking really good game. Skiva loves this game. He played through the beginning to end twice.
Did anyone inform Skiva? Because I thought it was a good game too. I enjoyed it a lot when I played it on Quest. But I played it as a shooter, exclusively as a shooter. I was shooting the enemies. But I had my reality broken when someone told me that you can literally just hold a bat in front of the enemies. You can literally hold a bat in front of the enemies, and they will kill themselves on the bat. They will reach back to swing punches at you, and in the action of punching you, they will repeatedly run themselves into the bat until they're dead.
Just like real life.
Just like real life.
Of course,
Exactly.
isn't that real?
So I haven't told Skiva this because I don't want to ruin the game for him. But I was shocked when I learned that. So shocked, in fact, that I had to go out immediately and try it for myself. And unfortunately, that is the case. It's absolutely true. I haven't tried it on Quest, but I'm sure it's the same there. It's the same mechanics in both versions, so I'm sure that the same thing's true there. But Ruuts, with that said, at least this game is free for some people.
That's true. Yeah, for the people that can fit in well, it's not a small window. Fit in the window. That's the one thing that I will give joy away. They honored what they said, literally to the exact window, and they are giving people a free thing. You have to contact them, but they will give you a free copy. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't end up going into this version because there was so much jank around it. Or at least around the melee. But how weird is it that nobody really noticed? I guess because maybe the melee didn't need to be there to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you played through the entire game, Skiva probably as well. No one even used the melee. Or maybe I guess if they used it, they didn't just hold it there and have them run into it. Just seems like maybe they didn't test it enough or something, or at least the PC version, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So,
I didn't use it. Like I use it a little bit, but I never really like tried to use the ball bat because, to be honest, holding two-handed stuff feels a little weird. So I just avoided it and stuck to guns. And it's a fun shooter, man. I really enjoy. First of all most of the bullshit with the original Stride and the control scheme has been muted out or completely revamped here. So there's a much more of a conventional control scheme here, which I really enjoyed. I also enjoyed the maps. So you basically you're climbing up on the inside and outdoors of these high-rise buildings and jumping from building to building. You'll go through a few floors on the inside and then climb out the window and scale up the side of a skyscraper, jump over to the next one. You've got enemies on the roof trying to shoot you while you're doing it. I really enjoyed the structure of this game. It is a bit of an arcade game. You know, it isn't like super realistic or anything like that. But Eric, it reminded me of like kind of some of the old school arcade style shooters from like PS2 and PS3 era in terms of like the gameplay loop. You know, bullshit aside, they've got the bones of a really fun arcade shooter here.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, I mean, this is the stuff that I wanted in the beginning. Like, I don't know, because before it was a parkour playground, and that didn't do it for me. Like, I want the shooter, I want the story, I want the action. And I was like you, Wes. I did not do any of the. I'm a shooter fan. I'm not a melee fan. You know, I'm not. I like melee, but I just went through and shot, so I didn't even realize this with the bat thing, which is super disappointing. But you don't need to do that for the game. Like, it's a great shooter with the parkour part of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun to shoot. It's fun to traverse the levels. It's got a decent story, although the voice acting isn't all that great. There's a little bit of progression in terms of like your weapons and stuff. You can certainly upgrade, which was a welcome addition. They actually put this game together pretty quickly in relative terms. So I was kind of impressed that it wasn't all just like superficial action, that there was a little bit of progression to it and a little bit of depth to it. So yeah, my overall opinion of this game is still pretty good. It just kind of broke my heart when I learned about some of the bullshit and jank that it had in it, because I was expecting an upgraded version, and you know, at the very least, this was a sidestep, not really an upgrade at all. Moving on, we got a new release this month called Kid Pilot, and I don't think any of us played this game. But you know, it seems kind of funny at first, and you know, you giggle about it. But when I look into this game, it actually seems like a fun and unique concept. So this is the concept of this game is that your controller is the plane, and you kind of have to steer it down through these tracks, these predetermined tracks. But there's tons of little obstacles you have to work your way around. You have to do some shooting to move things out of your way, and there may even be some enemies that you have to shoot in it as well. But graphically, it looks pretty good, and again, it's a unique concept for a game. It reminds me of that racing game that we didn't play because they didn't put our name on the card. But what was in that? What was the name of that game? Do you guys remember it?
I don't remember, but
was it? Yeah. Oh God, I remember which one it was. I can't remember the name. Damn it! But I know what you mean.
yeah. No,
Anyway, I think this looks pretty cool. I didn't play it. Obviously, they didn't send me a key. But I'm not shitting on this game at all. I put it on a list for a reason. I think it looks pretty cool.
I think it looks cool as well. I think that the premise that it's like your kid's toy, right? Or your kid pilot or whatever. Like it looks like you're in a kid's room or kid's world or something. I don't know if you're shrunk down or if it just looks really cool to me.
Yeah,
it does look cool actually.
Good variety in the levels, and again, a very unique concept. So I regret a little bit not trying this one out.
It's their fault.
Before the game, and to be honest, if it weren't for the next two nominees, I probably would have tried a little bit harder to put some time into this. But the fact of the matter is that this game would not have been Game of the Month anyway, because we have games, for example, like OVRDARK, which came to the Steam platform this month. And this is a game that we did play. This is a game that I played all the way through, in fact, because it's such an excellent horror game. And Ruuts, a complete surprise, this one, as it comes from a very small team in Europe. It's an indie game that hasn't been in development for an extremely long time. I had some modest expectations for it as a horror fan. But when we got this thing, it was top-notch graphics. It was top-notch sound. It had a solid story to it and some genuinely scary moments. I really enjoyed OVRDARK a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely a good game. And like you said, if it wasn't for other games, this game would even be like even up there. That's the thing, is like you're playing game after game, and some of these games are just on a different level. But this game is really good, especially from such a small studio.
Like super like Resident Evil vibes coming off of this one, right, Eric?
I love this game, man. This is one of my favorite games I've done, and I've seen this one for a long time. And I tried it at Gamescom 2 years ago on the PlayStation VR 2 headset. And this is a tiny studio, and they've done it. They did a really good job with this game. I never went back to it to finish it, but I'd like to do that. Did you finish it, Wes? I know you played more of it than we did.
Yeah, I played all the way through it.
I've got significant time in it, but I didn't see the ending, and I'd like to do that. That's how good this game is. So it definitely deserves the time into it. It's super creepy and definitely Resident Evil.
Yeah, excellent game. Honestly, it was a game we gave it runner up for Game of the Month last month on PlayStation 2, which, for those of you who are new to the channel, getting runner-up is pretty much a draw. It's the same thing as winning. And if it weren't for the strength of another title like Genotype, this would have easily won last month. But no, for fans of story-driven horror games, highly recommend this title. Again, the production values are off the chart. It's not super long, but it isn't too short either. I'm thinking 6 to 8 hours to make it through this game, and solid puzzles in it too. This is a horror puzzle game, and it has you scratching your head on a few occasions. But it's got the scare factor. It's got the production quality. It's got everything that you would want in a horror game, and would have been a shoe-in for PCVR Game of the Month were it not for Madison VR, which also launched this past month. And I mean, what is there to say, Eric? Like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. I kind of feel sorry for OVRDARK launching in the same month as this thing, because this is a masterpiece of a horror game.
Yeah, I mean, as good as I just praised OVRDARK, I mean, Madison takes it up a notch in pretty much every level. It's scarier. It's got better graphics. Controls are better.
Story's better.
Story is better. Yeah, and it's just it's a testament to how good Madison is, because what we just said, OVRDARK was a great game.
Yes.
And I go back to it to finish it, and Madison's just that much better. It's so much. It's like night and day better than the other game. Madison's one of the best games I've ever played. Everything's just done right in Madison. It's not even just the VR part of it. It's just the whole game itself is done well. The pacing's right. The graphics are good. The story is fantastic. And then VR just adds that effect of being a horror game in VR, which is next level than to do anything. So I don't know. Madison's just it's pretty much almost a perfect game.
Almost, because old Darth points
Almost.
out it's one of its flaws. It's inventory system. If they would have changed that for the VR version and said, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna do this different, change it completely.
And the safe.
The safe.
Took me
but
forever to figure the safe out.
yeah,
It should be called the unsafe because it is more.
Exactly.
that's true.
But Ruuts, at the end of the day, if you're going into VR to play a horror game, kind of job number one is, does it scare me? And
Right.
as a horror aficionado, not a lot does. Like not a lot of horror games truly scare me. But this one is terrifying. I mean, there are multiple events that happen in the game that just make your heart pound out of your chest. But I don't even think that's what makes it special. I think it's in between all of those events, just the moment to moment feeling of dread that you have going through this house. The house itself just feels evil, like you're not alone, and the house itself wants to smother you. I guess is the best way that I can describe it.
Most horror games rely on jump scares alone to try to scare you, and that's just not enough, right? It needs to be the story, it needs to be the sound, it needs to be the timing of everything, and I think that's the pacing of the game. That's what this game is really so perfect. Everything is paced out perfect. You know, like it's almost like nothing's wasted, right? And they do something that other games don't do in VR, which is actually scare you, right? They get you so the story alone is fucked up, right? And then everything else going on, and then the things you're trying to get away from, and just everything. It's just a next level experience. So yeah, and I would say for me, almost every single horror game in VR has not been scary. Almost everyone, for the most part, they've been mostly kind of roll your eyes. You know, like I have a hard time remembering that. My mind says, look, dude, this isn't real. You know, Jack is one of them for Resident Evil 7, but most games don't scare me. This did. So
yeah, certainly very immersive. And I think this is a great example, Eric. You know, in today's day and age, as good as the video games are getting, it often comes up as what's the best way to experience a story. You know, is it television? Is it movies? Or is it video games? And increasingly, the answer has become video games. But again, it's not all games. It's only the great ones. But when you get a great one, nothing else really holds a candle to it. Because, I mean, while I think this story in this game would obviously make for an excellent scary movie, it's not the same as being in the shoes of the lead character. You could feel the fear that this young man has as he's starting to unravel what has happened, even from the very first moment of the game, when you see the blood on the floor and your dad's on the other side of the door screaming that you aren't his son. There's just nothing like VR. If you have a good story and you have good developers that know how to tell that story without cut scenes or any of the other immersion breaking bullshit that we see in video games, when you let the story just kind of unfold before your eyes from an expert game maker, there's nothing else like it.
100%. And I think you're right. Like immersive cinema, I think is something that we're going to, and it will get closer and start to blur the lines between, a VR game that, being immersive and then an immersive movie. But it's still not the same. Like I just did the Marvel What If in the Apple Vision Pro headset, and that almost felt to me like an immersive movie. And I think that's the way you'll tell movies from now, or you'll view movies from now on. Or not, maybe not now on, but very soon in the near future, you're going to see more of it. And then eventually I think you're going to see almost all cinema be that way, immersive cinema. And that's very close to what VR is. It can be almost an immersive cinema experience, but you're right. When you are the person and not watching the person, it makes a difference. So being in, seeing it from behind somebody else's eyes or watching somebody on a screen is completely different. But those lines are starting to get blurred, I think, between the two. So, I'm not saying tomorrow, but I mean, 2 years, 3 years from now, I think it's going to be more often than not, you'll see immersive cinema, and you'll get closer to what we get now with VR.
Yeah, and I think it kind of needs to happen because there's people out there that don't necessarily want to play through a story. They just want to watch a movie. And so they'll have this more immersive way to be a part of the story, but also watch it. Because if I'm being honest, a lot of times when I'm in these games, I don't want to stop and do a fucking puzzle and another puzzle and another puzzle and another puzzle. And I get it. A lot of these games, it's a puzzle game, but I'm starting to get a little burnt out on puzzles, especially in like, if I'm trying to like experience this story, it's like, now I got to stop and I got to try to figure out this fucking thing. And don't get me wrong, the puzzles in this game were really good, but I'm just at the point now personally where I'm just about puzzled out, at least when I'm trying to watch a movie or experience a story. And so I can see exactly what Eric is talking about, where you've got a different way of watching and experiencing a movie. And maybe it's just different characters, different angles. You can be from different perspectives or whatever, but you're still like in it different than you would just watching it on a TV. Right. So
more walking sims. That's what we need.
Yeah, well, somewhere in between. I think if you have a good enough story where like, I just want to watch the movie and stuff, except for it's like you're engaging just a little bit, then yeah, I guess it would be walking sims in a sense. But the story and the atmosphere and everything else would have to absolutely carry it. You know what I mean? Like a movie would, where you're watching the movie, then it would work. But, a lot of these stories aren't that good, and that's why it doesn't work. So.
Right, exactly. And I'm all for a good walking sim. It needs to be a good one. But especially in like terms of horror, I mean, immersive cinema would be a good step up, being in the movie as opposed to watching it through the window. But there's nothing that beats that sensation of, you're in a room, there's a door in front of you and darkness on the other side. There's something in there and it's not good. But you still have to muster up the courage to open that door and walk through it. That's the difference between a walking sim and an immersive cinema, where an immersive cinema would just take you through the door and you're kind of disconnected from it because your wheel isn't affecting it at all. In a game, even a walking sim, you have to muster up the courage and say, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through the door. And all of that time that it takes for you to talk yourself into doing that, you're just getting more scared and more scared and more scared. And there's a lot of that in this game. That's something else I liked about this game, was it was just about the perfect length for me. Like it didn't run on and on and on forever, but it was long enough that you could get a good 4 or 5 play sessions out of this before you're done with it, which is just about perfect for me.
Yeah. This is probably the best horror game ever made in VR, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and might be the best VR release period that I played this year. It's certainly right up there.
I would agree with that. I think it's one of the best games I've played this year for sure.
Anyway, no-brainer for PCVR Game of the Month. I don't think we need to vote on this one, do we, guys?
Nope. Not for me.
I was just trying to look at the list real quick. Let me see. Kid Pilot,
Kid Pilot. It does look good though. I want to play it now that I saw it.
I'll tell you what, I actually think it does look good too. I like the premise too. I like the. It looks like it could be good.
Well, I mean, if you guys really want to cover it, I do have a line to the dev, and I would have reached out for a key if I knew that it had any chance of winning PCVR Game of the Month this month, which it didn't. But if you guys want to cover it like on a regular episode sometime soon, we could do that.
Yeah,
sure.
I think
it looks cool.
Cool. Well, I will do what I can. Get us the key. Moving along, PlayStation VR 2 had a similarly solid month this month. In fact, we kick off the list with a game that we already spoke about, and that game is Stride Fates. I'm not going to recap everything that we just said about Stride Fates because the issues that it had on PC were certainly the same issues that it had on PlayStation VR. I will say this though, PSVR community a lot more upset by it than even the PC community was. The PlayStation community, in particular, a lot of them really like the original Stride and have been looking forward to this story mode for quite some time. Not only that, but none of the PlayStation players got this game for free. Everyone had to pay for it. And so expectations were pretty high, and disappointment, therefore, was pretty high in this one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't blame them here, man. Even more than the PC. I don't blame them for being pissed off at this one. This is a fall down. Like, I don't know. We just talked about Joyway with PC, but I mean, they did full price here, man. And that was the thing. Like, if you're going to do full price, for this game, that kind of like is a question whether this should have been either free or a discounted price if you own the first game. If you're going to do full price, you better be fucking good. Like, there shouldn't be an issue. Like, if you're going to do full price for a game that's kind of already been released, it better be perfect. And it's not.
Yeah, no, it is certainly not. Like I said, it looks worse. It looks worse on PlayStation than it does on standalone. That boggles my mind. I don't understand it. But
it's almost like it's almost like they got halfway through the development cycle and were like, they were just and we know Joyway, they do this sometimes. They get going with something, and then they halfway down the road they're like, okay, let's pivot with something else. And at that point, they just got to get it, because it feels like they just got this out west. They just got it out to say that we did release it. We said they were going to release it. We did. Here it is. But it doesn't seem like...
You know what? You know what I bet it is, and this is pure speculation on my part. I have no idea if this is actually what it is. But this could be one of those situations where, to make it look good, they would have had to have used dynamic foveated rendering, and it may be one of those situations where to use dynamic foveated rendering, they would have had to move it to a newer version of the engine, and it would have been a lot of work. And the bottom line, so to speak, just didn't justify the amount of work that it would have taken to do that, and they just decided to release a subpar game instead. Again, speculation on my part, but it certainly seems feasible to me.
Yeah. You know what's sad? The sad is this: if this was what it could have been on PlayStation, there's a good chance that this could have. I mean, probably not because of the games that were on here, but this had a chance to be Game of the Month. Like this, if people on PlayStation loved the first Stride, and this was the same version that we got on Quest, but it was actually it was made for the PlayStation VR 2, and it looked awesome and it played great. People would fall in love with this game. Like, that's the disappointing part. Like, it's actually a really good game that they didn't finish it. So it's I get it. I get why people are pissed. Especially PlayStation players.
If it would have looked good, I think that would have been enough. Like, the gunplay is still there. The hand interactions are a little bit janky, like climbing and stuff. But they were always, even on Quest, they were a little bit janky when you're climbing, like all the time grabbing stuff out of your holsters when you're trying to grab something on the wall, falling a lot unnecessarily because you're missing your grips. That was a little bit more pronounced, it felt like, on PlayStation. But I think if they would have delivered a game here that just played like the Quest version and looked like the Quest version, then people would have been happy with it. But somehow they downgraded the game on PlayStation.
The Quest, they should have just stopped at the Quest version is what they should have done, because they couldn't get it done on the other platforms properly, or at least I don't know, man. At least like PSVR 2.
It does make me like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, we know PlayStation is normally one of the hardest to get through on their QA at the end of cycle, right? Like, before you get to the store, you got to go through QA, and they make sure that everything is, you know, where it should be, and they just don't seem like they're there anymore. I mean, we've seen a lot of missteps by Sony QA, because like somebody was just saying here, you know, RG said Sony phoning it in, man, and Shades of Gray Matter said, but this isn't Sony, it's Joyway. And it's true, it's Joyway. Joyway did this, but Sony allowed it on the store, by the way. Like, they don't have to. Like, you know, there's many games that get through QA process, and then the platform goes, you know what, this isn't ready. It's not good enough. You're not ready to go on there. So in the end, it is kind of Sony here. It's Sony saying, you know, they allowed this game to be kind of like not a good launch, and they've done that a few times now, where normally, typically, it's been a hard place to get through QA. It doesn't seem like that's the case anymore.
Yeah, it seems less and less of a problem. It seems like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, the QA is still kind of tough, but it seems like the things that they ding people on is just like bullshit that isn't that important. But stuff like, you know, the baseball bat thing with this, they don't catch. It's the weirdest thing, man.
It just seems like they're halfway paying attention. They're like, just like Joyway. They're just doing just enough to get it done. You know?
QA absolutely does account for low resolution, aliasing, frame rates. All those things go into QA. Those are huge parts of it, through whatever platform you're going through, whether it's Meta, whether it's HTC, Pico. You have certain frame rates you have to hit that you can't drop below. You have certain levels of, you know, your black screens can't be longer than so many seconds. So, like, if you're going through like a cut screen or go to a menu and you get a black screen, it can't be longer than so many seconds, or they ding you on that. There's 100 things that you have to go through Q&A, and the things that you just listed there, a lot of them are there.
That's what loading screens are for. No black screens, Eric. Just spinning
Black screens are
circle.
tough because you always think there's something wrong,
right?
Especially if you're PC. Like,
you
I'm always
should
like, something just cracked.
You should never be in VR and have a strictly black. Even if you just have one spinning thing, something that says, hey, this is still moving, because once you're in there, you're like, okay, is it stall? Did something happen? Did it hang up? Or
Sounds incredibly bigoted.
Well, you know, it's 2024, everything's bigoted these days. So
anyway, Stride Fates is on Sony PlayStation. Hopefully it gets better. It is a fun game at its core. But yeah, a little less than what we expected, to say the least. Moving along to another one that we didn't play this month, Clean Sheet Football.
You didn't play this?
PlayStation VR 2. I did not.
Dude, this is soccer, man. Who doesn't want to play? Oh, I mean football. Sorry,
but it's not though.
It's soccer.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the reason why it's on our list, is because some people did play this game, and I don't think I heard anybody say anything bad about it. Like, most people that played this really enjoyed it. Now, I can tell by looking at this that this is not my thing. But if you're into like fitness games, and especially if you're a soccer fan,
if you want to be a goalie,
it's a goalie simulator. It's like it's goalie style mini games set in a soccer field. Another Quest port here, but this one much more well received from what I can tell.
what was that other game that we played, that the old school heading game, that you really
Headmaster, and that's what I said.
Headmaster.
Like, if
that was
if
so
they want to
good.
get me, imagine on PlayStation VR 2 with the headset haptics, how much cooler that game would be
on PC. No, just kidding.
On PC.
With no haptics. No, it would be, absolutely. It'd be really cool. You could actually feel like you were heading the ball. I guess this is could be cool. I was never a goalie. I was always halfback and fullback, and sometimes forward, but mostly halfback because I ran my ass off all over. But goalie wasn't my forte. That was my 6'4" friend that was the goalie. So
Robbie White said, I played GK for 25 years and I'm not even interested in this game. Oh man. Yeah, me either, but a lot of people are and a lot of people like it. So I thought it was worth a mention here.
Yeah, if people
Not my
think it's good.
thing.
So.
I do love Headmaster though. I 100% of that game on PlayStation VR 1 and I would love to see it come to PSVR 2.
You know who's the ultimate headmaster, Wes?
I do.
Yeah, she is. Ultimate.
That's what I said when the game came out. I thought that it only. I thought that Headmaster only would use a single move controller.
That'd be like the game Stab It. Have you seen that game?
No, I've not seen it, but I've seen content creators doing it, and yeah,
I felt like I was playing. I felt like I was playing Stab It on one of our Quest games, but we'll get to that in a little while. Anyway, moving along to Sushi Ben. This game actually has been coming to PlayStation VR for a very long time. Finally launched on the platform this past month. And this is one I did get to spend a few minutes in. And I'm not so sure that we should call it a game. I mean, maybe to some extent. It's more of an interactive experience, at least through the little bit of it that I've played.
You didn't finish it?
I did not finish it.
Oh, man.
No, I didn't. I'll say this. I went into this with very low expectations, not because I thought it was going to be bad or anything, but I just expected that it was going to be one of those not for me situations. But I was actually quite surprised at how pleasant of an experience it was. Like, there is a lot of reading. You know, the audio dialogue in it is all in Japanese, so you do have to read the panels. But I thought the art style was super cool. It was very colorful and crisp in the headset, and the environments were super immersive. Okay. The story was interesting, and I actually enjoyed my time in this. I didn't expect to like it at all, but I did kind of have a little bit of fun in there, just experiencing this town and talking to these people.
Did you have the ultimate experience and eat sushi while you were playing it? That would have been the ultimate Sushi Ben experience.
Well, you got to help Ben because the Ben is the guy that makes the sushi. His master is missing. The shopkeeper's gone. And these people keep coming by and hassling him because we have some evil dark figures that have been visiting the town and buying up all the real estate. And Ben's just trying to hide out from people. So he hasn't went out and got any fresh fish or anything. So there was no sushi to be had at the beginning of the game. But you have to work through that, dude. That's what the game's about.
Yeah. Well, it sounds actually kind of intriguing in a sense. Like, as long as the story's good, that's really all that matters, right? So
it's actually not bad.
Did you get in and check it out, Eric?
I did. I played all the way through. I played all the way through to where I started catching fish.
Oh, I thought you meant the whole thing.
Please. No, I played. I literally. No.
Dude, I platinumed this thing.
Twice.
Twice, yeah.
But I think, I mean, this is not my kind of game. It's a collection of mini game tasks that you have to do it's wrapped around a cool story. And like Wes said, that it's got visually good vibes to it. I think it actually looks pretty good. It's just not my kind of thing. Like, and there are a lot of people out there that would like it. So I think there is an audience for this game. And, to me, at least has something here.
Right.
Like, it's not, there's enough of a story here that kind of brings you through, that will get you through all those mini tasks. To me, it's when you get nonsensical and there's just no reason to be in the game. Like, I always kind of bust on Garden of the Sea, and to me, there's no story with Garden of the Sea. It's just like one of those open world games where I'm just like, there's no point in me being in here. Like, I know, like, my point is to, like, open the world up, and get from island to island. But at least this has a story. Like, I feel like there's something here. It's not like What the Bat, where it's just nonsensical garbage to get from me from point A to point B. This at least has something here to where it would keep you kind of moving through the story, and then you do these little quirky mini games in the to get you through. And I'm not going to go back to this, but I can see why people would.
The visual novel is what somebody said in the chat. And I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like I would have definitely played more if we didn't have to stop it and do a show this evening. But I like it, man. I like the weird Japaneseness of it. Like every now and then something will happen that's just totally off the wall and weird, and you would never see in a game from anywhere else but Japan. So I like that aspect of it. It kind of feels it has vibes of like old school like Nintendo RPG type games. You ever play like old JRPG? It has that same type of weird feel to it. The way that the panels pop up, and how cool were like the art panels that pop up with their 3D depth. Like those things look really cool, don't they?
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of things I thought looked good in here. I mean, it's not like very intensive graphically, but I mean, you can tell it has an art style to it. Like, they were really going for something here, and I thought it looked pretty cool, man. And I do love I'm okay with the reading the panels too. By the way, like I kind of like dig the the Japanese language, and then it does reminds me of like old school RPGs, JRPGs.
Right.
So I kind of get that vibes from it. And normally I hate reading text in games, but I don't know, for some reason with this, it seemed natural. It seemed normal. And it's not like there's a lot of it, but not like overly done.
Yeah. But yeah, a surprise here, to be honest.
Was
I didn't expect to like it very much, and I actually quite enjoyed it.
was that the Dogecoin or the Shibu Inu dog I saw there? That's the question. I think
it looked like Brad's dog. It looked like Brad's dog, Peanut.
Oh yeah.
The frog thing stuck to my hand was a little weird in the beginning.
That's one of the that's one of those that's one of those weird Japanese things. It's like you meet this stone frog, and he's like, "You want help getting into the clothes shop? Just pat me on my head, and I'll help you." You pat the thing on his head, and it starts like humping your hand, and is stuck to it. And
this is what you're talking about, that Japanese weirdness.
It was funny. Right before the show started, we went a little late because I actually had a meeting with a Japanese company, and I had just gotten out of the headset with a Japanese developer, and like just gotten out of the headset. So I was like talking to them about Sushi Ben, and they knew the game, and they're like, this is very cool. They love it. They think this is like Sushi Ben was one of the better games out there, and this is a fairly well-known VR development company out of Japan, and they were like,
cool.
This is super cool. They were all into it, so it was funny.
What's really funny is that how we used to have the Viveport VIP accounts back when we were partnering with Viveport to help promote, and those accounts, it wasn't just Infinity, and we got them back when Infinity started, but it wasn't just Infinity. What those accounts did is they gave us access to everything on Viveport. And what that meant is not only titles that were for the general public to purchase, but we got a lot of stuff that was like behind the scenes industry stuff that was just uploaded for internal use. I don't even know if you guys know this or not, but Sushi Ben was on there in its entirety like 2 or 3 years ago. I never went into it because I never thought I would enjoy it. But yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff like this on there. Viveport being a Chinese platform, there's a lot of little stuff like this that you can go check out, or at least we could back then. We don't have access to it anymore.
You know who else will jump on your hand and hump it and won't stop?
My mom.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, she will.
I still have access to mine. I go into it like every other day. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
No.
I have no idea. I would imagine no. But it was cool. It was cool.
I never had access to it. I wasn't cool enough. You guys are better than me.
Oh, you think you're better than me?
This man legitimately thinks that he is better than us.
I think that was before you came in full time, I think.
Yep. And that was a long time ago.
It was.
Anyways, Sushi Ben's solid. If you think you like this type of graphic novel, then definitely worth your time, I would say. But with that said, we move along to the next PSVR 2 title, another surprise one this past month. Maybe not a shock. We knew it was coming. We didn't know it was coming this month, and that is the Exorcist Legion VR Deluxe Edition. And, this is kind of the treatment that the Exorcist Legion VR got on all other platforms over the years. over time, this game has been supported by Funtrain and a number of developers that they brought in to work on it. And what we've saw platform by platform by platform, Exorcist Legion VR get new assets, get upgraded textures, upgraded lighting, but never to PlayStation. PlayStation VR version, I think, did get a pro patch, but beyond that, it never could quite touch, especially the deluxe version on Steam. No more, as we finally have this game on PlayStation VR 2, and it is the upgraded deluxe version. Now, here's the funny thing, and anybody that watches Without Parole already knows this. About 10 days ago, this version of the game was not in a very good state. The frame rates were just terrible, and it was almost unplayable.
Oh wow!
But the developer that handled this port was VR Monkey, and they got a rather detailed bug report from my Without Parole friends, and just in time for launch, they updated this game, and guess what? It's fucking flawless.
That's
today.
awesome.
And Ruuts, you talk about horror games and how most of them are goofy and they don't scare you. At least for me, that's not the case with The Exorcist. The Exorcist is one of a handful of games
Satanic.
that it's satanic and it's scary.
That's what's scary about it. Yeah, anything that has to do with Satan is, although he loses in the end. Just spoiler alert for Satan. I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, that's, to me, that's the only thing that's creepy in this world, because it's real, and so there's real evil in this world, and so if you could do it in the game and make you feel it, it's amazing. Mash, did you go into this game today as well?
I did not. No, I did not. There was a few other
I
games that I wanted to try and get into, and I figured Wes would be all over this one anyway. So I had to make a choice between this and Five Nights at Freddy, and I went into Five Nights at Freddy. I wanted to, and I probably should have not done that. Came over and done this.
I didn't go into it either, but yeah. But I went into this so many versions of it already. Yeah.
Well, I can say honestly, it still holds up today with the graphical improvements and the other things, the haptics and stuff that they've added in here. They've updated this game to where it's comparable on a production standpoint, and the game itself it still holds up. It is a very cinematic, story-driven experience. Episodic. When the game came out, people had to buy it episode by episode. There were 5 different chapters of it. But now that you have all the chapters collected under one title, there is some puzzling in it. And every chapter very different from the last one. And it holds up pretty well. Still has a little bit of janky interaction as it always did. Things that you hold in your hands. Your hand maybe clip into them sometimes, and you'll have items get stuck in the geometry, things like that, but it's not that frequent, and something that certainly used to happen fairly as a fairly commonplace thing back when this game was developed. But with that said, I mean, if you already have this game, I don't know that I'd tell you to go out and get it again. It's still the same game. If you don't have this game, which I'd say there are quite a few people out there, especially on PSVR 2, that don't yet have it, I absolutely recommend it. This is on the higher end tier of horror experiences in the entire VR catalog, in my opinion.
Yeah. Shades of Grey, they're talking about good and bad launches and stuff, and Shades of Grey says, hopefully, Madison should be a lesson to other VR devs. Multiple delays are fine as long as you launch something solid. And that's what's baffling in the last year or two. There's been a lot of games that have been delayed and delayed and delayed. And then when they come out, they're still broke. And you're like, what the fuck, man? And then you have VR Monkey that is scrambling to fix everything at the last minute just to make it perfect, right? Doing everything they can do, which you'd think that you would want to do. I don't know. I just think it just shows you there's just like every business, and this is my mindset, and that's why I started drifting away from Meta, because of what their business policies has taught me. But not every company's equal. Not every company is going to finish what they started. And so this is my advice to people. Start taking notes of the VR monkeys out there. The the companies that are delivering, and then the ones that aren't, that are half-assing it, that are thinking about today's bottom line instead of you as a consumer. Maybe you don't get their next game. Just being real. That's my mindset. So
Yeah, man, everyone learns though. Madison VR was a great launch, but they had to learn from their launch of Vertigo
right.
2. VR Monkey launched a great port of the Exorcist Legion VR. But remember when Galaxy Carts launched last year? It was a fucking mess when it launched. They had to learn their own lessons. So that's my hope, is that these
They're
developers
learning.
out there, that the ones that aren't going broke from botching their first launch, hopefully they're learning some
Right.
valuable lessons. We get it. Sometimes you have to launch to make money, but sometimes sometimes you should do everything that you can to avoid that situation, because launching a game that isn't ready is poison for your game. It might pay your bills for the next 2 or 3 months, but it's not going to pay your bills for the next 2 or 3 years because of it.
And what are you doing it for? And I guess some companies are probably just making money. I just would imagine if it was me, I'm creating something. These are, it's artwork. It's a legacy. It's something you're building upon, and every game builds upon it. You know what I mean? You want people to think about your studio and talk about it, and they're like, dude, this is the fucking one, man. And I'm sorry if you fall through so many times. I don't know. I'm gonna say something anyway. Like I'm just so tired of getting fucked over in so many ways in life, and so I'm just ready to blast companies and that are screwing people. But I'm also understanding what you just said, that people learn lessons, and it's all about, do they continue to do it? That's why I don't deal with Pimax.
Do they fix it?
Right. Like you said with Galaxy Cart. It's amazing now. No Man's Sky is one of the fucking biggest meme jokes of a release ever in existence. And it's now one of the best VR games that exists. And so, it's long term. And that's what a company should be, is long term, I think, anyway. So,
yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the Exorcist Deluxe Edition is a very good, very scary game on PlayStation VR 2. But the question is, what is the game of the month? And I'm happy to say that it's not the Exorcist Legion VR, but rather Madison. Madison VR came out on PlayStation VR 2 this month, and everything that we said about it on PC is true here, except that there's adaptive triggers and advanced haptics and super deep blacks in the OLED panels, and there's headset haptics and Tempest 3D audio tech. And all of that stuff might sound like marketing speak, Eric, if it weren't for the fact that they use that stuff to scare you out of your fucking seat in this game. Most of the jump scares in the game have more to do with haptics and audio than they do with even the visuals.
It does, and they do it so well. Like that's what we were saying earlier. Like this game is like the whole package. It's like everything they do here, and like this is the way to play it too. Like both are really good, but this is the platform to play it on because of the extras that are in it. And I don't know, it's to me, when you add those extra small things, especially in a horror game, that can intensify the immersion for you and bring out like that just a little bit more, that little bit extra level of like intensity and like and pressure, and you just feel those things in there. And the music, and then the haptics, and then the visuals, and then the story all wraps together into like the perfect package, and you just don't get it very often, and here it is.
Matt Akunda was just saying, and I was just thinking this, can you imagine the B haptic support combined with all the PSVR 2 haptics? Was there things that you think that they could do with that B haptics that would add to the immersion, I guess, or the scariness?
I think that this is one of the cases where using your B haptics in audio mode makes all the sense in the world, because again, the jump scares, you can set the sensitivity to the audio mode so that it doesn't activate unless it reaches a certain volume or intensity. And if you set that balance just right and play a game like this in audio mode, it absolutely would add a lot to the experience.
You don't even need support then, right? Because you can just set it on to audio, right? Or is that do you have to do that with PSVR too?
There's going to be a lot of games on PSVR 2 that makes sense for, especially at the beginning before they roll out all the profiles. Like, for example, I'm sure
Effect.
playing I saw AJ the other day post that playing Gran Turismo 7 in this thing is just fucking awesome in the audio mode, because you set it up to where like the the engine rumble and stuff or certain things that make a lot of noise in the thing. I'm pretty sure it was Gran Turismo he was talking about. He said it was great, and that makes perfect sense that it would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, again, I don't think we need to vote here. Madison VR, one of the best games we've ever played. Obviously, clear game of the month. So, and everyone knew, let's be honest, everyone knew what the PCVR game of the month was going to be. Everyone knew what the PlayStation VR 2 game of the month was going to be. Didn't stop them from showing up here to hear us talk about it and say it. But what about Quest? The golden child, the platform of platforms in VR. What do we have to look forward to on this this platform? And I guess
No, it was on the wrong one.
Still on the wrong one. Where do you want to start at, Ruuts?
Just whichever one's the top one.
There it is, right there. Boom. All right, let's start here. Let's start with Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. Prior to this is a very popular series, flat and VR. And this is a hybrid game. You can play this game flat. You can play this game in VR. There's a big fan base for it. With that said, I've never played any Five Nights at Freddy's games. I'm very familiar with them because my sons love them. They're big Five Nights at Freddy's fans. They have been for years at this point. And when I got the review copy to this before it came out, I was fucking dad of the year. Like they absolutely were so excited to play this thing in VR on PlayStation, all those months ago when it came out. But with that said, for this game of the month, I actually spent a few minutes in here. Now, I didn't spend very long at all, but I did want to see what all the fuss is about because people keep telling me, hey, man, this is a solid game. Eric, well, first of all, Ruuts, did you play this at all?
No, I've not this version. I've played it before, though. The Steam version, I think it was.
So you played this is the sequel. You've played part 2?
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I thought I did, but
okay.
I didn't play today, no.
So, Eric, before we kind of break down what this game is, I will start by saying I was rather impressed with the production values in the game. Everything has a pretty realistic look to it. Granted, you're in this kind of larger than life haunted pizzeria with animatronics all around you. The lighting and textures in the game made the animatronics seem like they were really standing right in front of me, and the sound design very good as well.
Yeah, I mean the production value, and I'll say this: I played very little bit of the first Five Nights at Freddy's just to go in and check it out, and I've done a few demos for people into that game. Was not a game for me, and I didn't really like it. But the production value of this one feels bigger than I thought. Like I get in there, and you're right, it looks good, it looks great. To be fair, I played it on the PlayStation VR 2. I did not play the Quest 3 version, but I think they're very similar. But it looks great. The looks value, the looks of this game are there. Like I think everything is there for this to be a good game. But it's not.
Well, yeah. So basically, the formula here, and I'm pretty sure that this is the formula with all of these games, is it's a collection of mini games that aren't very difficult. Well, I mean, that's not necessarily true. Some of them are kind of tough. but it isn't about the mini games. The mini games are meant to serve as a distraction so that they can jump scare you. That's what they're doing here. They want you to get tied up in these mini games so that they can jump scare you, and it works for a little while. But like any game that overuses jump scares, it loses its scare factor pretty quickly when you're expecting it to happen. And I think that's kind of, for me, that's kind of the failure of this game. I'm sorry, Roots. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's right. I was just gonna say that because I didn't go into it, I went up into the meta page and was looking at the reviews, and since May 9th, there's 2017 ratings, and they've got 91%, 5-star rating,
Yep.
and everybody's raving about it. So again, it's kind of like Garden of the Sea, or a lot of these type of games. They're not for us, but
Yeah.
the people that love it. Like, it's clearly, like you said, production value. I mean, looking at the list, if you're looking at the community, this game hands down beats the shit out of everybody, all the other games, as far as reviews and actual
agree
people
with
that
that.
bought it.
And you know what else? Like I'm not going to sit here and shit on this game. It's one of these situations where it was a game in a world that I enjoyed being in. I just didn't enjoy playing it. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't find it very fun to play. But I thought being in these environments and around all of these animatronics and stuff was really creepy, and it was really cool. I think, again, for a different audience, maybe a younger audience, obviously somebody likes it, right? Because it's so popular. I just didn't find much fun in the gameplay. Again, though, Eric, admittedly, I did not play through it. Maybe there's some funner stuff as you make it through. There's a lot of mini games in this collection.
There is, but there's two things, and I get those ratings, and I understand why. There's two things here that kind of like let it fall flat for me. Number one, I played through Madison and OVRDARK this past
Right,
couple of months.
Right.
So what am I doing in here when I go into them? Like, I'm not, these jump scares are not scary. They're not scaring me. Again, but that, the audience is different. But two, if you played the original Five Nights at Freddy or did any time in it at all, this is just more of the same. Nothing. It's not anything different here. It's not like they didn't reinvent the wheel here or bring you anything different. So if you've done it before, you're going to kind of get in here and be like, oh, a little bit of ho-hum. So maybe these reviews are a lot of new people. Maybe there's new people in VR since the original Five Nights, and like they're getting into this for the first time, and they're like, okay, this is cool. Or just maybe they're huge Five Nights at Freddy fans. But to me, it's very ho-hum. Like,
This is the only the sequel and to this VR series. There's several flat, right? Like, it's not.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not like everybody that's playing this game is new to it, right? Like that, even the first one, everybody played it before. It was just now in VR. But I didn't go into it, so. But
so Looper says, "Did you like it less than Nope Challenge?" Nope. No, I think that this is a much better game than Nope Challenge, both in scale and quality. If I'm being honest, Nope Challenge is a very similar thing. This is more gamified even than Nope Challenge was. Nope Challenge, while it's technically a game, was a little bit more of an experience than this is. And a lot of what Nope Challenge did, especially in the clown level, is exactly what they're doing here in Five Nights at Freddy's. Only they're doing it better here than they did it there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for Nope, it seems like it took a part. Like it's very good. The clown part is actually is one of the better parts of Nope Challenge. It's I like it better than the heights or the spiders, but it was basically taken right from Five Nights at Freddy's. It feels like that could be a level in this game.
Yeah. In fact, the very first minigame that I played in this was pretty much exactly the same thing as the first clown level in Nope Challenge. Only, again, there was more to it here. There was more variables that you have to deal with.
did you get to serve nachos and pizza?
Who doesn't?
Oh yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I think I would probably find it repetitive and boring as well. And just not scary. I'm not big into jump scares. But
Yeah. Now, see, that's me. Like, I didn't find it scary. I thought it was cool, creepy vibe. Again, very good looking and sounding game. Yeah, just probably not for me, right? But I didn't hate it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
it's not game of the
with the
month.
amount of, I mean, maybe it is. We'll have to see what
Maybe.
else is in here. It's just, given the hype levels that are behind it, I would expect this to be like a favorite, and it wasn't that. It was just kind of okay to me. Moving along, you know what I did really enjoy a lot? Retropolis 2. And, this is a sequel to a game that we covered a long time ago on our channel called The Secret of Retropolis. And we covered this game such a long time ago, Ruuts, that all I can really remember about it was that it was a stationary, story-driven puzzle game that we liked. I remember saying that it was similar to like an I Expect You to Die type game, only we liked it better than I Expect You to Die. That's all I remembered about it, really. And then when I got in and started playing the sequel, I remembered immediately why this game is so cool. And I think they kind of have taken it to another level here, to be quite honest, with the sequel. First of all, this is a game that all of the art, all the characters, environments, everything in the game was done in Quill, done in VR in Quill. And as such, it has a very distinctive look to not just the art, but the animation as well. And I think it's just a really cool thing. If more games did it, I might not have such a fondness of it. I might eventually get sick of it. But since not that many games do this, I really enjoy it, and I like it more than most of like cartoony style games, just in terms of the way the thing looks. But in this one, the vistas are even more big and elaborate. It seems more colorful, like the color palette's wider in this, and it picks the story up right where the last one left off, and kicks off a new chapter to it. But here's the cool thing: the way that they do it, you don't have to play the original to enjoy this one. You can pick up this game if you're completely new to the series and play the second game just fine, having not been privy to any of the story from the first one. Eric, did you get a chance to go in and check out The Secret of Retropolis 2? Retropolis 2, I guess it's called.
Yeah, very quickly. I didn't get a chance to do much in there. But I'm a big fan of Peanut Button. I'm of the developers Peanut Button. I'm a huge fan of the first game. Played the first game all the way through. I will go in and back and put more time into this, but I wanted to make sure I at least got in a little bit to see it. And I love this. I don't even know, is it like a film noir robot kind of vibe to it? It's just freaking cool, man. So before you even get into the gameplay of the puzzler that it is, the vibe is like, I almost like this better than I Expect You to Die, because I like the vibe of the way they tell the story and the way that the whole universe that it is.
Yeah, Roots, like the quality of the art and the storytelling here is enough to carry this. Like, if this were just an interactive experience, it would be great. But it's more than that. There's a puzzle here, a puzzle game going on here as well, and it is a point and click puzzler. But these puzzles are not pushovers. It'll have you clicking everything fucking 50 times to figure out what's the next thing that you're supposed to do. And again, I had forgotten that about the first one, but it didn't take me long to remember after I got in here and started clicking around on everything.
Well, what's cool about it is it's not wasted. Like, everything you click is something's happening. It's like, and it's not like those old, kid games where something's spinning, and no, like, there's dialogue. It's sometimes it's telling you little bits and pieces about what's going on. I actually was very surprised. I can't remember. It makes me want to go back and play through the first one. I can't remember much about the first story. but just from the beginning, the music on this one, the actual acting and story is good. Like I want to know what's going on and within this robot world, right? I played through the whole first act, as what, 4 acts, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, and I honestly, if it wasn't for all these other fucking games that I wasted my time in, I would have probably played through at least another one because I really actually enjoyed it. And it was like, I did remember having a really good time in the first one, but I enjoyed the puzzles in this one. Like even to the fact that when I got to like the Simon, there's like a Simon puzzle, right? And I Colorado timed it, and I could the first 3 or 4, I'm like, I got this fucker. And then all of a sudden, like I'm starting to forget, and I blew it. And then I blew it again, and I blew it again, and then it gave me a skip arrow. And I know Wes is probably.
I took it.
I
took it too.
I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm out of this because I just didn't want to do Simon puzzle. Give me that option, you know, because if I want to continue, I will. And there were other puzzles that I continued on that I tried to do, but they were different and unique, but they didn't force you. You could tell that this is about the story. It's about telling a story in this world, and the puzzles are an addition to it, which is cool. And I enjoyed it. So it was cool. And I even enjoyed going up and down those ladders and figuring out that was actually really cool. The whole elaborate way that all of that worked together, all the levels and unlocking the different slides. And I really actually did. It was cool.
Yeah. Weird that we were surprised at the quality of this, given the fact that we were one of only a handful of channels that really praised the original. Heavily praised the original, but I haven't been back to it since we covered it. So, like, honestly, like I said, all I remembered is that it was a puzzle game, story driven, and I liked it. But it all came back to me really quickly when we booted this one up. Just a high quality puzzle game, and a great interactive experience with beautiful art. I just really can't say enough good things about it. So much to the point that I agree with you guys. And in the chat, RG says Retropolis 2 for PSVR is great news. Matt Ancuda says the color palette will shine. I agree with all of that. And I do believe that we'll probably be talking about this one again next month for the PSVR 2 game of the month. And by that time, I probably will have finished this because, like Eric and like Ruuts, I think I'm going to go back into it and play it some more.
Yeah.
This will look great in that headset too with the OLED lenses and the color. Just because of the colors palette of this game, it'll pop and then it'll be really good.
Yep,
and I wonder, like, I don't know, I haven't talked to Peanut Button, but I wonder if they do anything, if they have anything going with the special haptics with the PSVR 2. That'll be interesting to see if they do anything different.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know. I don't even know if they're handling the port, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe they are, but I know that they're not publishing it on PlayStation. Perp Games is publishing it, and typically, or at least oftentimes, when Perp is bringing a game to PlayStation, they're hiring someone, or they're porting it themselves. They have developers there that can do PSVR 2 ports as well. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Peanut Button's doing this one or not. But even if it's just a straight port, I think PlayStation VR gamers have something very much to look forward to here. It's a high quality puzzle game. I don't expect it to be very long. You'll probably be able to play through it in 3 to 5 hours, I would imagine. But still, the story and the challenge will make it every bit worth it.
Yep.
Definitely. And that's what the first one was too. Like you can tell already it's gonna be more great of the first one. The first one was about 3 or 4 hours long. Fantastic story all the way to the end. Has a very, very cool ending. And this is another one where they just did it right. Like the gameplay, the story, the visuals wrapped together for a small studio. I mean, they nailed it on this one.
I'm just upset that Jenny doesn't know who I am. I'm gonna make sure by the end of Act 4 she knows.
She's in love with you.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I really do. I think the story and I think I really like the main actor the main characters. Like I just resonate with him. He's just it's just a good story. I recommend.
I don't trust that cop. I don't trust
him either. I don't trust his mustache. he's a little weird.
Anybody has a mustache like that, you can't trust him.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's right. Yeah. That's true. Anyway, certainly more to come on this one next month. but a solid title already for those of you gaming on Steam and or Quest. Solid title. If you like puzzlers, give it a look. You know what, Roots? It almost gives you a nostalgia seeing this art style because we used to go check out like art pieces that were made in Quill. Do you remember what was it? Alex's Sci-Fi World? That
Yeah.
interactive art thing. It has that same type of animation to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Except for the whole world's alive. It's a robotic
Right.
world. There's sci-fi. It's cool. You know, it's like being in art. Well, it is. You're in art. You're literally in art. That's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. Moving along to the third and final title that we did not play this month. There was one on each platform that we did not play. This time, another sports title, Ultimate Swing Golf. A bit of surprise, Eric, that this one even came to Quest. This is from the same studio that did Everybody's Golf on PlayStation VR last generation, which was a fairly well received title. I don't even know what people are saying about this one. I'm just not interested in a full fledged golf game. But it looks pretty solid from the footage that I've seen of it.
Yeah, I got into this game not even just for this. I got into it because they sent me a key, and I'm like, guess I'll jump in and grab it, or not a key, but they set it up with my email account. So I went in and checked it out, and it looks visually awesome. And I liked it. I like this style of play of golf game because it's a little more quirky. Like some of the old Sony, golf games. There's a couple of good ones. I can't remember the names of them now, but it just reminds me of that feel. It's like less Top Golf, more zany, crazy, fun golf.
Like an arcade almost, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Hot Shots Golf is what I'm thinking of. Like that, the back to the Hot Shots Golf days, and to me, everything looked good except it didn't play well for me. Like, and it's hard to get these things right when you're swinging your controller like a golf club. You have issues with the accelerometer and different things inside of that, inside of those controllers that are not easy to get right, and they didn't get them right. Like it needs a little bit better. I don't know, just needs a little bit better adjustment, and they might get there. I hope they continue to work on it, and maybe this is just me. Like I was not in a particularly bright room when I tried it either, so I know I may have had some tracking issues, but I just didn't think it tracked very well. Didn't think it played very well, but it looks awesome.
So you mean ultimate swing golf is good in everything except for the
swinging.
swing.
The thing that matters, right? The biggest thing. I was actually, there's another game I didn't get a chance to go into, but I was looking at the reviews and I saw Brian's review. Brian, if you're out there, I don't know what you're thinking, but he says reviews are unfair, right? And he starts to say some of the nice things about it. But then he says the devs also need to fix the wedge and putt shots. Right now, it's way too sensitive. You end up launching your ball over the green when trying to chip 8 yards. Putting is similar. Both need to be fixed badly. But he's saying it's not at that point, he said, this is not a 3.9 star game. Well, Brian, I'm sorry. That sounds like less than a 3.9 star game. Like, you kind of need to be able to actually putt. That's like the game. Even if the game looked like shit and it was functionally works well, that could be a 3.9. I don't know.
Or you could just get good, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Stop putting and doing weird stuff. But I mean, the consensus, it's pretty positive though. Right now it's, I think, 4.2 stars, 112 or 24 ratings rather, 124.
You know what I think?
I could see it if they fix the stuff.
I think that golf gamers or golfers like golf games. That's what I think. I've never heard anybody say this golf game is shit. Everyone always loves every fucking golf game for some reason.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I like this one because it's more of a game. It's again, this is not like normal golf, right? Like there is like Golf 5e Club, Top Golf, or what is it? Whatever. I think it's Top Golf or something like that. There are like golf simulators out there, and this is supposed to be kind of away from that. This is supposed to be more like everybody's golf, or like Hot Shots, like I said. So it's supposed to be more fun, more quirky, more like outfits and like different characters and like just different things, and I think that will make it more fun. But they got to fix the control. You can't have those issues and then give it a good score. So like whether the game itself is great or not. If I can't do what I want to do in there with the controller, then I can't I can't give it a good score. So I think that's a little bit disingenuous by some people when they do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of
Like-
people like to rate a game on what it could be rather than what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. Like you can't give it like, oh, like it almost is this, so I'll give it this score. It's just not that, so you can't. You know.
Apparently, there's no smooth locomotion on foot when you're on your feet either. Somebody's asking for that as well. Barry Shockley, what's up? Shout out to Barry.
Just like small things like, I don't know, and maybe I missed this, and somebody who's played it more can tell me if I'm missing something. But like lining myself up for the shot, you know how in like Walkabout Mini Golf, to line yourself up with your ball, you just hit the trigger button and it brings you exactly where you want to be. I never felt like I could get exactly lined up where I would need to be. Like I always felt like I had to physically move in my play space to go get in front of the ball to hit the ball exactly where I wanted to be. And there's those are the small things that like a game like Walkabout just gets perfect. And again, maybe there's a different thing out there. I never found something to hit a button to get me where I wanted to be exactly. I always had to like fidget, move this way or that way. And a game like this has to be exact.
Ironically, Brian said the same thing. He said they also need to add an easy recenter button. Right now, you can use the Oculus recenter button, but it's not exact. So there's no recenter. So they need to add that as well.
Anyways, we move along to Masters of Light. This is a game that came out this past week. A bit of an action game. Some people calling it a shooter, even though it isn't exactly a shooter. It does have some similar mechanics to it. I had some decent expectations for this game coming off of the trailer. The art style really comes across pretty well, I feel like, in some of like the video footage of the game. And the overall vibe with like the music and stuff is really cool. But I didn't really, it didn't really come across the same inside the headset for me. I don't know. I guess the first thing, Eric, that kind of surprised me was the download size of this thing. This game is like, it's only like 600 megabytes total. And I didn't, that like blew me away because I was expecting like this visually impressive like art when I got in it, and it looks great. Don't get me wrong, it looks very good. But what really surprised me was kind of how the graphics were put together, because you have some pretty strikingly good looking like enemies and some near field level geometry. But what I didn't really care for so much was the fact that the whole thing is in this 2D skybox. Like the way that they put this game together is that they put you in this 2D skybox, which has pretty art on it. Don't get me wrong. It's just flat all around. And then the game that kind of just gets drawn in over top of that and layered on top of it. It looks pretty good, but wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Master of the Light it's a weird game. I think it's somewhere in the middle between like being an actual magic game almost and then like a workout game. Like it's like very much it's almost right there. Like if they came out and said this was a workout game, it would look almost like what you would almost expect it to be like what you said it is, right? Like if it was any kind of one of those games where you're just there to work out and do those things, then you would be like, okay, yep, the visuals are exactly what I expect. But when they say Masters of Light, you don't think workout game. You think, magic game or like Wizards or any of those games. And then you go in, you're looking for a full-blown environment. And that's not what you're getting here. It's not a campaign game like that where you're going to be moving through different environments. This is basically, stuff. You're stationary. Things are coming at you. You're doing hand motions. But I think if you go in thinking the right thing here and you go in thinking this is a very cool a visual effect, game that's almost like a rhythm workout game, I think you're probably better off. And I think if you think of it the other way, you're going to be disappointed.
I agree with you. I think that you nailed it there. I think that this is a pretty good game for people who like to like fitness apps or like highly active games for a workout. because it does get you moving right away. Roots, did you try this one at all?
Yeah, I went in briefly, and I didn't. I don't know. I'm so adverse to hand tracking that I just didn't care for even just like as I'm looking at my hands. Your hands are shaking a little bit, and I don't know how. Maybe it's my lighting wasn't the best. Maybe my hands were really shaking. I don't know. I doubt it. I feel like I just would rather still, even if I was going to do this, I thought the visuals were cool. I'd rather use a controller, and I know the option was there, but it highly recommended that I put it because it was, I guess it's magical with no controllers. I just don't feel like it's a game that has to be no controllers. I guess if you want to use it as a hand tracking game, go for it. I don't think you're gaining anything by hand tracking. Personally,
For me. So when I went in, I started on hand tracking, and the hand tracking actually tracked pretty well on the Quest 3. But Quest 3 has like different hardware. It has depth sensor and all this other stuff on it. The hand tracking worked pretty well. So before I get too far, let me explain to you what the game is. So you're kind of floating in the ether of space. These beings have asked you to help free their home worlds from the oppressive forces that have come through a black hole. And all of these different enemies come at you, very unique looking enemies that have been made up with these weird geometrical patterns. They look like they're almost made of rock or something, but they're alive. And you are to use your superpowers to defeat these enemies. And your superpowers very much emanate from your hands. They are light. And you have things like a laser beam, and you can fire pulses at it by punching and things like that. So it kind of works like a wave shooter where you have these enemies coming in waves from about I don't know, maybe 180 degrees, maybe a little bit more. And you're basically just going down the line, taking care of enemies in a specific order. The aiming is gaze based. So even though the things are firing from your hands, there's an auto aim on whatever you're looking at. So you want to make sure that you're always looking where you're firing. And as you progress through the game, you unlock more abilities. And the intention is here for you to feel like a superhero, like you have magical abilities. And the hand tracking with it for me worked pretty well. But as is usually the case when I play a hand tracking game, I did miss the haptics. So after I played through a couple of levels with hand tracking, I decided to pick up the controllers and give those a try. And the problem for me with using the controllers is that it wasn't different enough from using just your hands. Because while the laser beam was activated by the trigger, which was cool, that's typically something you would expect from a controller. The pulse, the firing, the actually shooting, the pulse beams, was done the same way. You still had to punch to fire, and I was looking for something that was a bit more like a button. Let me fire a button. And it did add haptics to the to the experience, which was good. But I felt like the precision went down even a little bit when I was punching with the controller rather than just doing it with my hands. So I ended up putting the controllers back down and just playing it with my my hands because it felt more natural and it felt more responsive using my hands. With that said, I got tired pretty quick playing this game, and I noped out fairly quickly of it just because I don't typically like playing. I don't like standing up to play, let alone throwing punches and shit. I feel nervous about it. I feel like I'm going to break something or someone when I'm throwing punches in my relatively small play space. Eric, a pretty basic gameplay concept with a pretty advanced approach, I think is the best way to put it. Like the wave-based shooting is something we've seen 100 times, but doing it through hand tracking and gestures and motions is a way that we've never quite seen it done before. And while this game quite clearly wasn't for me, I think if you are a more active gamer, if you are someone who's into like rhythm games or gesture based action games, I definitely think there's an audience out there for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. There'll be an audience for this game. Again, workout. It's a very interesting take on a workout game. Like if you go into it, like, hey, it's like Thrill of the Fight or another boxing game or any other workout game that you do, like Les Mills Body Combat, and you want to get into it to like get a good workout, get a good sweat going. I think it's good. It's great for that because it's visually beautiful when you're doing something like that, and I think it's an interesting way to do it like that. So go into it with that mindset, and I think you're absolutely right. And you can definitely tell, Wes, that they made this game for use without the controllers, and then they put the controllers in later as we have to put them in or we should put them in to give them the options because it feels way better without the controllers than it does, which is not normal. Usually it's a way to get around it. So they definitely made this as we want you to use hand tracking, no controllers, because it just does. Even with the haptics, it doesn't feel right when you have the controllers in your hand. So I think it's definitely don't use the controllers. I would go hand tracking and then get the full experience for it.
I agree, and I think it's the first time I've ever said that about a game. Even a game like Rotu Eolia, which did a great job with the hand tracking. I still prefer to play that one with controllers. I think this is the only one I've ever played that plays better as a hand tracking game. Anyway, old Darth in the chat said, I love Les Mills on the PSVR too. Well, this might be a game for you then. You would enjoy this. I don't know that it's ever going to come to PSVR 2. I'd like to see a Quest 3 update for it. Like, there was a little bit of aliasing and shimmer in here. I think they could have eliminated that with the Quest 3 graphics update. And then I would love to see them replace that skybox with something that has a little more depth to it. I think it would add to the kind of story that they're telling here with the beings coming from the black hole. You don't really feel the presence of that black hole because the environment very much just looks like it's wallpapered on there, right? The distant environment. I mean, not the near.
You know who loves when you feel the presence of the black hole?
My mom. She loves it a lot.
Way more than she should.
It's probably too much. Yeah, I think it's actually become an addiction. Intervention.
Anyway, to wrap up Quest for the month of May, we have Mudrunner, which we talked about at length during our Saturday episode of Strangers in the Night. I'm not going to rehash the whole episode. If you're interested in our detailed thoughts on this, go back and check out that episode. But much like a couple of the other titles that I played this month, Ruuts, a game that I didn't expect to like very much and ended up being a little bit better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's better than I would think. It's not for me, but I would be disingenuous to say it's not a good game. I mean, there's too many people out there raving about it, saying they love the hell out of this game. And I think my problem with it is Mash's frustration. I have a issue with patience these days, trying to work through. And so like I get stuck in the mud and I'm like, motherfucker, I just want to go. And I do think the things that I did say, I think were valid as far as the little things that hopefully they fix. Like I if I pull up to a gas can and I'm like, that's not a good, that's not a good thing to feel as a gamer.
It's kind of weird that they have you like sneaking into people's yards to steal gas cans. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
You're stealing people's gas. I mean, you get shot for that in some places in
2024
the world.
Yeah.
Eric, I did find it a bit tedious to drive around, but after I got used to kind of using up the vehicle's features to get past obstacles, it got a little bit better for me. And then as you get even further in and you start to unlock some bigger vehicles, it gets even better. I didn't really care much for, having to go tow things and help people out, like that game aspect of it. But the other missions, like the kind of fetch quest stuff, I did enjoy, because I think the appeal of a game like this for me is just driving through the scenery. It had some very good looking graphics and some decent looking outdoor scenery that I very much enjoyed making my way through.
Yeah, I have flaws. There's flaws with this game, and I have issues with this game, but I think it's definitely a good game. Like I could see where people get involved with it. I would love a wheel and pedal with this game. It
Yeah.
would be awesome. That's one. Like I would go play it flat just to try the wheel and pedal to see how it is. But I don't know. In VR, it's definitely a good game. Like I can see why people are really raving about it. I don't have a ton to complain about it. A couple of small issues. And then one of my biggest issues is like what Root said. Is just it's a my issue. It's not like to me it's just a little bit tedious. But it's a me issue, not the game issue. It's like it's okay to be different. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good game. I think Saber did a good job with it, and I think Saber will fix a couple of the small things like the no teleport or the no free loco and they'll teleport only. I think they will fix them. Saber's pretty good at what they do, and I think they'll go back and fix it. So. A couple of small issues I have, I think they'll fix, and I think there's a lot of game here too. By the way, there's tons of vehicles. There's an open. We didn't even. I don't know if we really even talked about like the free roam. There's like
Sandbox.
open world kind. Yeah,
Yeah.
where you can do a whole bunch of different things too. So, beyond the campaign. So I think it's definitely a good game.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably the most solid, complete game on Quest this month. In terms of a fully featured campaign, um, definitely the top one. Um, but then a game like Five Nights at Freddy's, there's a lot more content, and it's a lot more polished out, and definitely the most popular game on the platform um, this month. But then there's Retropolis 2, which was a smaller game from a smaller dev team that isn't as well known as the other two games are. But at the same time, I think pretty unanimously it was our favorite Quest game of the month by a fair margin. Um, but again, game of the month isn't always about what's our favorite game this month. It's a combination of popularity and mass appeal and what the community thinks, and then ultimately what we think as well. At the end of the day, it is our choice. Um, so I don't know which way to go with it. I mean, am I wrong? Like, Roots Retropolis 2 was the best game on Quest this month in terms of what we like to play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what we were just saying is still true. Just a minute and a half later, just because I don't like Mudrunner VR doesn't mean it's not a really good game. But I think Retropolis 2 is a really good game too, and it's just a different type of really good game, right? Like there's two different types of games. You have an open world or this one for driving people, and then you have one that's a story-based artwork game. And I could go either way, but I have to vote Retropolis 2 because I think for people like me, it's the better game. It's hands down the better game. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but Eric, what do we do? I think if we held a poll to the general Quest public and put all 5 of these games on there, Retropolis 2 might be the last place game out of all of them. I'm certainly, I know that FNAF would get more votes, and Mudrunner would probably dwarf it as well. But again, Retropolis 2 was easily my favorite out of these games. What do you think?
I'm with you 100. I'm with both you and Roots 100%. Like I like Secrets of Retropolis 2 more than I like any of these other games. I think it's a complete game. Like a lot of these other games have flaws. There's problems with them. That being said, this isn't like, I don't know. This isn't like again. Do I not choose Mudrunner because I don't like that type? Like I don't exactly like this type of game. Like
Right.
it is a good game. Like I think it deserves some votes for game of the month, and like I don't know. I think probably If I just said this is my pick because it's my favorite game, I'd go Retropolis. But I mean, if I'm being fair, and I would say, you know, for a big license, a big IP, I think they did a decent job with Mudrunner. So I would probably put some votes towards Mudrunner. So I'm very torn here as well. But I almost want to say give it to Retropolis because more people need to know about games like this. Like,
Yeah, that's true. You know, for what it's worth, Brian Paul voted for Five Nights at Freddy's twice.
And did he really? Well, see, and that's the thing. So if we go down that road, because you could say, okay, yeah, Retropolis would get beat by Five Nights at Freddy's, but so would Mudrunner, hands down. You know what I mean? Even though Mudrunner's really good, look at the reviews on compared. Mudrunner's got 124, or no, I guess that was no, they've got 138 rather, and Five Nights at Freddy's has got 2,100. Same time frame, right? So,
Can I just,
or I guess,
can we just vote for Madison again?
yeah.
Yeah,
I need to talk to. We need to get Madison on Quest.
Yeah. Yeah. We could call it PC to Standalone Studios. Anyway, what's the chat think about it?
I can't vote for Five Nights at Freddy. I'm not gonna do it. Like, I don't.
Nobody in the chat is. Nobody.
I'm
It's
not
got
doing
10% of the vote. And I think that 10% of the vote is 100% Brian Paul. It's close. Retropolis 2, Mudrunner are tied right now at 45%.
Wow, that's a little bit surprising. I think we're having good effects on people.
Well,
that's good.
I think Looper is right. He said it sounds like a runner-up situation, and I would even be willing to say Mudrunner with the runner-up Retropolis. You know, either way, I just think Retropolis 2 made that much of an impact on me. I wasn't expecting to go in and really enjoy it and want to continue on, because that's just not what I want to do these days. And I was like, wow, this is actually really good. I like the story. I like the acting. I like just everything about it, you know? So.
Yeah, the only thing with Retropolis, I guess you can ding on it is short. I mean, you're only looking at like a 3-hour experience.
Right. 3-hour tour.
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours.
3-hour tour.
What's the cost?
But I mean, yeah, and I think it's fairly cheap actually. But like, do you dig a game because it's shorter? If it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a quick experience, you know? And there is no replay here, right? Like, you're gonna play this through this once. You're gonna get through the story, and you're gonna be done. Like
one and done.
Mudrunner, you can play forever, and they can.
Yeah.
There's DLC that they could do here. I mean, I don't know, but Mudrunner is flawed, man. It's flawed.
Yeah, they've got the few flaws, and I think you're right. They'll iron it out, and I think that it definitely needs to be in that discussion for game of the year, right? So.
So here's what I say we do. Obviously, we kind of we concur that Mudrunner and Retropolis 2 should probably be in a winner and a runner-up situation. So honestly, it's like a tie. We have two winners. I'll leave the poll open in the chat a little bit longer, and we'll let them decide the order. Who's the winner and who's the runner-up will be 100% up to the chat. We've had 26 people vote. There's 99 people in the chat right now, so we'll give it we'll give it a 2 or 3 more minutes for people to vote, and we'll leave this one to you guys, because Madison VR is the winner of the month for me,
right?
And outside of that, you know, what the Quest game of the month is just a secondary thing at this point.
Inferior headset or platform. Rather.
Which platform do you say, guys, won the month in terms of just the overall quality, average quality of release this month?
Let me look at the list. I think it would have to be PC, right? You had OVRDARK, Madison, and Stride Fates.
And the Kid Pilot's probably.
And Kid Pilot, you're right. I leave that out because it's red. It's got a red mark because we don't have it in our library, but it's one of the one games I saw the trailer and I thought, wow, actually I want to play that.
PSVR 2 had Sushi Ben and The Exorcist. But OVRDARK though is really good, and yeah, I think. Well, no, I mean that Exorcist is pretty good too. I don't know if I'd put it on the level of OVRDARK.
Clean sheet
what do you
football.
Think, Yeah, that's right. Clean shit football.
Yeah. Clean shoot.
Overdark or The Exorcist, Eric? What do you think?
Overdark.
At this point, I'd probably take Sushi Ben over Stride Fates, given the state that it's in.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But Overdark over The Exorcist is probably the right move, too. Stride Fates just cancels itself because it's on both of those platforms.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
for that matter, Quest didn't have any great games, but it had a bunch of okay ones. But it didn't have Madison, so it can't be that one.
Thank God. Thank God it didn't have Madison. Can you imagine how that game
I think
would
you're
look?
right. I think PC was probably it this month. If Kid Pilot's good at all,
Right.
which I think it probably is going to be, PC probably had the most quality, even though it had fewer titles than the other two.
Just barely, and that's assuming Kid Pilot's any good. If Kid Pilot sucks, then no.
It looks good though. Like it's got me like just seeing a little bit of it now has got me intrigued with that one.
Yuki gives me Yuki vibes as far as how
Yuki.
you're flying your plane around, right?
Brian says he really enjoyed Sushi Ben in a weird way. Yeah, we were talking about how it had that cool Japanese weirdness to it. That's a good point. I think that we're kind of missing the larger point here is that both PC and PlayStation had a solid month this month.
That's true.
I don't know if you remember what last month was like, but it was not good. So this is like night and day better for VR in May than it was in April.
Yeah, Quest was pretty good too. I mean, at least Mudrunner and Retropolis 2 were. And I don't know about. I mean, I didn't play much Masters of Light. I just went in there and kind of fucked around for like 5 minutes. But
yeah, it's like the golf game. It's going to be good for its audience,
right?
You know, same thing with FNAF. Like it has a pretty wide audience. We're just not part of it.
A shitload of reviews, man.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the poll. Retropolis 2 seems to have pulled away with 53% of the vote. Mudrunner coming in second at 40%. Help Wanted 2 coming through with 2 Brian Pauls. And Masters of Light bringing up the rear with a big fat donut.
You know who loves to bring up the rear of the big fat donut?
That's true.
Yeah, she does.
All right, so Retropolis 2, I think the moral of the story here is if you guys haven't tried Retropolis 2 and you like a good story-driven point-and-click puzzle game, I think you're going to be surprised at this one. And if you're exclusively a PlayStation VR 2 gamer, then good news, this one's coming your way too very, very soon.
And that is one thing to point out, even though we did mention it, and you just mentioned it, it is point and click. And so if you're one of those people that's like, put off by that, then don't get it. No,
you're 100% stationary. You don't move at all in this game.
What is it?
It's a stationary point and click puzzle game.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one. Was that one where you were in an elevator and you had to go up and down and like your
floor plan? Yeah,
floor plan. You're just not moving, but it's you're interacting with everything else. So it's different, but it's more about the art and the story and everything you're doing than interacting.
Yeah, and you do move through the levels a little, but you point and click at a door and you're in the next room. You point and click at a ladder and you're in the one above.
Right.
That sort of movement. But when you're in a room, there's no locomotion where you move around the room. Everything is point and click. You play the role of a robot who has like Inspector Gadget arms and can reach across the room and interact with things. And basically, it's a game of picking items up and trying to use those items on other interactive things in the room to kind of have a cause and effect. And you're basically trying to cause a chain reaction to achieve some end goal. Maybe there's a guy standing in front of a door that you want to go through. You have to find a way to distract that guy and get him to move so that you can go through. So you'll talk to him. You'll get some clues through the conversation at the type of things that might distract him or get him to move. Then you'll start looking around the room for things that you can manipulate to eventually work your way to the goal of getting that guy distracted and or moved. And the further you get along in the game, the more complex the puzzles get, the more different items that you kind of have to interact with. You know, you might have to use A item on B item to get something else to use on this thing over there to finally get something from that you can use over here. It's one of those type of games. Again, very much kind of like an I Expect You to Die. Only I think the puzzles are better than I Expect You to Die. The story's better than I Expect You to Die, and the artwork is better than I Expect You to Die.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And Awesome Tatum says Retropolis, man, puzzle games are king, I guess. You know, and ironically, I started off the show bitching about puzzle games and being sick of them, and I went in there and I really enjoyed it. So, just shows you if a game does it right, it doesn't feel like it's a puzzle. I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know how to explain it. It was just really good.
We've said the same things about wave shooters and rail shooters and everything else that people are sick of, even more recently roguelites. A good game is a good game. Like, even if it's a genre that you're tired of and has been played out, if it's a good game, then it's just a good game. And you forget about how sick you are of shooting waves of zombies or doing puzzles. You forget about all that and just kind of get immersed in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that is our episode for this week, friends. Thanks, guys, for hanging out, even though we did go on a little bit late. Most of everyone turned up, except for Classy Grandma.
Classy Grandma, we know you're out there tomorrow. What's up, Classy Grandma? We love you. Thank you for watching after the fact. And throw a comment out there telling us how much you love the show.
Yeah, we weren't regular. We didn't hold up our end of the bargain.
That's true. Week. She's not regular either. She's like, you know what? I'm going to bed. I don't blame her. I kind of. If I wasn't on the show, I would have.
Does that mean we have to give her $10 now?
Oh, I hope not. That's. I don't have $10 to start throwing around.
Anyway, shout out to everyone who showed up. If you liked the video, please click the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, ring the bell. We're going to be back soon this Saturday with a whole new lineup of games to talk about. You're not going to want to miss it. If you want to talk to us in the meantime about PlayStation on PC or anything else for that matter, hit us up on Discord. There's an invitation link in the description down below, and 100% free to join, and we are there 24/7 hanging out. So just come on in, say hello, and you'll be greeted at the door, I assure you.
We'll leave the light on, wipe your feet, and take your shoes off, preferably.
Did anybody ever say anything about my microphone? Is it cutting out, or did it do good? Did it hold up?
It was good. I heard a couple pops, but it was like 99% good. Everybody was saying it sounded good.
I will take it. All right, cool. All right, with that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Ruuts and Eric, I am Wes. We'll see you soon. Actually, you know what? Hold on.
What?
I might see people a little bit sooner than even we're expecting. First of all, I'm going to be on Without Parole on Wednesday.
Oh, it's true.
Is it a show? Where's that? Where can you find that show?
YouTube, I think. I think it's the biggest.
That's what I hear.
Biggest PSVR channel on YouTube.
But if I can find a minute tomorrow, I might go live tomorrow and just talk to the chat for no good reason.
Really?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might just go on and talk a little bit for a little while about something, nothing in particular.
You're gonna. Oh, okay.
Mash.
You're gonna do it.
Mash like, even I knew what he was going.
Yeah, live is a good idea. Yeah, I like that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking. That we might just show up and answer people's questions if anybody's curious about anything specific.
Interesting.
So yeah, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow.
Take it easy.
See you later.